what's up, guys? I'm just getting this chat ready so we can see all the chat coming through on the same one as well. Should hopefully have this fully set up properly now, so ready for really sort of next week, I guess. This stuff's a little bit of fun to talk about a footy, even watching that game that's just gone. There's not really too much to take from these games just at the moment, so just trying to pull this chat over to where we want it. Like the new setup. Thank you, bro. I'm just still getting used to it now. It was just there. I just sort of worked out you can get so many of these all in one where I can stream to like 6 different platforms now at the same time. The only chat that doesn't tie into, because then like all the chats come through, all the different streams come through one chat, except for TikTok for whatever reason. It has its own separate chat. So I'm just trying to pull that across now so I can drop it in. And then hopefully that way you guys can see the chat as well. Which is normally very easy to do. I don't know why now it doesn't want to. So guys, bear with me as everyone's jumping on anyway, and then we'll get stuck into it. I can see a few questions already coming through. I don't know why it's doing this now. It's been really good. There we go. Alright, we should be good. Hopefully you guys can see that chat now as well. Probably won't stay on too long tonight, guys. Like we don't have probably too much to go through. There was a couple that I really wanted to watch. In terms of a few of the ones that I've been looking at, Dunkley was a bit hard without McCluggage and some of these other guys in there to see what roles they were going to get. But there's a few premiums now with sort of Finn Callaghan going out with a bit of a hip injury for at least a couple of weeks. I think with McKercher's potentially going to miss the next couple of weeks now, having finger surgery. Obviously, Tom Green's out for the season. Matt Rowe's going to miss the first few games. So there's sort of players falling like flies at the moment. So as you can imagine, the Supercoach team is shuffling around quite a lot. So we can sort of go through some of these. These were ones I just had penciled out before, going into the game. Which some I was very impressed with. Others, they probably just won't be going anywhere near my team from what I saw tonight. So, did we beat Brisbane? You did. It was actually pretty well played by Carlton in the end. I mean, albeit, like I said, you really can't take too much from these games, as you guys would have seen with the score, obviously, in this one. But yeah, for Carlton, probably the impressive thing was that all their new recruits played pretty well. I was hoping it's probably even a little bit soon. This is what makes it hard too. Like, they haven't really released too much of the stats or anything, even on the AFL website just yet. So there's not really too much to go off, and it's a bit harder to follow it when they're not showing sort of the stats and the clearances and stuff as well. But yeah, there was a few sort of standouts again, what I thought. But for Carlton, was probably Ainsworth up forward and then Hayward as well. So that would be really good signs for Carlton, I guess. Because it was probably a bit worrying of where you're going to find the goals from. But they're going to have these sort of small to medium types chipping in every week if they're going to try and kick any winning scores this year, Carlton. Because teams will just be all over Harry Mackay. Obviously with no Kerno there now. Even TDK when he was resting down there. So yeah, good signs that they can get a few goals out of them and maybe some of their midfielders. But I mean, Jagger Smith was the one. I mean, he was the one that really stood out to me. I was watching him pretty closely anyway, but him and Sam Walsh, I just think the way the game's evolving now as well, it probably really suits those two. I think we saw a little bit of a state of origin. These sort of hard running midfielders are just going to accumulate a lot of possessions and really link up with the ball movement going that little bit quicker. Um, so they looked very good. Chera was a bit of the same old sort of Adam Chera, just sort of cruises around, gets some disposals. He doesn't really break the game apart. Um, but Smith, you could just see it already in Jagger Smith, the way he was going about it, breaking the lines. Same as Sam Walsh. Liam Reedy was probably the one too to touch on. He was clearly the backup again tonight, so that was a pretty much put a line through it for me. In terms of thinking that he could potentially be the number one ruck and put up some really big scores. I'll obviously want to wait and see till the actual official practice game, but yeah, that was a bit of a worrying sign as well. So Jagger looked great. Yeah, 100%, bro. How was Walsh tonight? And was the estimated split? Walsh was really good. Him and Jagger Smith were really the main two. Obviously, with no Walsh there. I mean, you got Hewitt in there as well. Like I said, Chera, bit of much of a muchness for Chera, but da, 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 da. Cooper Hamilton play. Not too sure to be honest, bro. There was so many sort of young guys in. I was really only watching, like I said, it was really hard to follow. I love it when they're sharing the stats so you can check on the AFL app too, and you can really watch. The play goes so quick, you're like, fuck, who got that sneaky little handball out? And you don't really realise, and then the commentator's like, oh, this guy's had a ton of it this quarter. So it was a little bit tricky. I was really watching a couple of key players that I wanted to watch. So yeah, if they probably weren't going to be in my super coach team, or I was sort of really looking for who was going to be kicking in, and these little things that's going to help us throughout the season to maybe get a leg up on the bookie, especially early on. Um, so that's sort of where my real focus was what was Jagger Smith's stats. Couldn't tell you, bro. They weren't even keeping count at the ground, I believe. Or this is what the commentators sort of said. I'm sure they'll pop up somewhere. I don't know if someone on like Twitter or something like that, but yeah, it's quite hard to find stats, especially straight after the game. The other one we did the other night actually had it was probably a few hours after the game, but they at least put up the goal kickers and the total score and that. But obviously, being a little bit later, we didn't have too much time. But Coleman is the one, bro. He was the one that I wanted to really discuss as well. Like I said, I've been pretty big on him and Liam Reedy. I thought he could be insane value if he's going to be the number one ruck for Carlton. It just doesn't look like it. And Coleman really, I think, from all reports, they were playing him as a little bit of a half forward. He was actually playing out of the goal square tonight as a full forward at times. So he's just playing a really weird role. It was out of the goal square. It was as a high half forward. He was up on the wing at times. Not a role that I'm interested in whatsoever, really, for Super Coach. So I'm all but put a line through him for now as well until I see, unless that role changes. I mean, you're going to have some other players and stuff coming back through. So, yeah, that was a bit of a worry too. So, Taylor Byrne, he was really good for the Blues. Popped up late. I think he kicked nearly all his goals in the last quarter when Carlton comes steaming home. So, he actually did jump out too because he did a lot of his good work within that small patch. I like him. Yeah, very, very nice left foot. Classy around goals. Yeah, didn't really get overwhelmed. I guess it's only a preseason game, but kicking a couple of goals in the last quarter against the Premiers to get your team home to win a game as a young kid. So good signs for him that he can sort of cope with the pressure. He definitely looked at the level. Like I said, really good skills. So he was really good. Was Reedy one? He wasn't, bro. He pretty much about, I want to say it was probably at like 5 or 6 minutes into each quarter, he sort of come on after Pitnet did the bulk of the work to start and sort of finish the quarter. Like I said, I would have loved to see some stats if maybe he was sort of sneaky good and maybe we could sort of see what his scoring would be like for Supercoach, but I just did not really notice him at all. And Pitnet was actually pretty solid again, so It could be one of those circumstances where Carlton could be one of these teams who's potentially looking at playing an extra big man on the bench with that new bench spot opening up this year. So potentially that's a role there, but yeah, he's definitely not the type of guy you could really trust to have in your team. If you wanted to just sit him on your bench as your ruck on the bench, who's probably going to play a good chunk of footy still throughout the season. Like I said, maybe it's coming off the bench at times. Might still make you some money, but I was quite bullish on him if he could be the number one ruck. But yeah, I'll pretty much put a line through that one. So Jagger stats somewhere between 16 and 20 and a goal. I would say that's about right, bro. I'm guessing you probably watched it too. Just really good too. Like he really broke the lines, and a lot of it was right through the center corridor. He does his best work in the middle, which, like I said, I think that's the way footy's trending, which I absolutely love as a footy fan. To start seeing the game speed up a little bit, the ball moving through the corridor very quickly, especially when you got a guy like Harry Mackay or a forward like that. You want to get it into him quick, one on one, give him some really good looks with time and space. So yeah, he really stood out for me. Him and Sam Walsh, they're very similar players, and um, they're going to need both of them fully fit. I think otherwise it might be a bit of an ugly season for Carlton. Because like I said, they're really difference makers. As good as Patrick Cripps has been, and still is around the contest and stuff. Like I said, I don't think Chera's really got that in his game either, where he can sort of break the lines and really take on the game. So those two were a huge standout for Carlton. But for a super coach, I think I saw something like it was, I don't know, maybe it was only, there was still like maybe 24% or something of people on Supercoach that don't have Jagger Smith in their team, like even on the bench. Like it's absolutely crazy. How can you not have a guy at dirt cheap, um, who's a genuine chance to maybe score, consistent 80s at least right from day dot as one of their premium midfielders. So it's kind of staggering. Um, should Draper be in when he's healed? Yeah, and they were actually, that was one thing I wanted to, I really want to get him in my team. I'm just not sure how and when. They reckon it's healing really well. It was a stress related injury in his foot, which can be a very slippery slope. That can sort of hang around for a while and sort of really limit players. Um, but by all reports, it's progressing really well. They did say he's probably in line for round one or their first game or whatever. But with Brisbane having an early season bye, they might not rush him and just let him come back after the bye, having fought there already. So I'm definitely monitoring that. It's probably just when I get him in. So if he does wait a few rounds, by then I might have a few of these bench guys that might have already, jumped up from two massive scores to start, and then I might be able to maybe roll one of those bench players into someone like him, who I would see as somewhat of a premium, who could potentially average around 90 as Brisbane's key ruckman, in an elite premiership contending side. So should I just keep reading Gallup after today? Should I keep them after today? I would say no on either of them, to be honest. With players to come back, yeah, me personally, I wouldn't be having him in my team after what I saw today. Draper didn't play, bro. Like I said, if you just caught that, he won't be back till potentially maybe their bye week. They reckon he's tracking towards the first official game, but obviously he's missed a bit of pre-season. Obviously with the foot injury too, that really limits your running, and you do, have to come from behind and sort of work your way up a little bit. So, um, is Hugh worth the pick? It's a good one. I think he probably really is. The fact they got so many other good players. I mean, we've seen him start to get tagged a little bit, but I mean, the Ashcroft brothers again were really, really good. Will Ashcroft was everywhere again. Levi got forward a bit at times and looked like he's going to be an even better player this year. Annabelle sort of pinched hit a little bit. Fletcher was sort of thrown around a little bit tonight, which is something I wanted to watch. If I thought they might free him up to go up higher, up the ground, and maybe slot Coleman in at half back, but they really seem to have locked Coleman in at sort of half forward at the moment. Like I said, he was actually coming out of the goal square as a full forward, which was kind of crazy to see, but They had Link McCarthy actually running around at half back at times too. So that's probably why you see the scoreline it was. So NBL, nah. Do I have to join? I'm not sure what that one's in reference to, bro. Depending on what you're trying to do. Um, you might have to just clarify that one for me. What's up, guys? What's up? What's up? Walsh, he was really good. I would nearly consider having him in there. I think a lot of his injuries in the past was sort of back related, which then, sort of works its way down into the hamstring and the soft tissue stuff. So, um, yeah, it's just a bit of a question mark on Sam Walsh. Can his body hold up? If you knew you were going to get a full year out of him, yeah, like I said, I think the way that the game's going is really going to suit his game. Coleman, look, he was actually really, really sort of good for the role that he played. I mean, we know he's a really classy sort of player. Yeah, like I said, at times he was actually leading out of the goal scorer as a full forward, which was a bit funny to see. And then he spent most of the time across half forward. It sort of floats up high to the wing. I think they really like the idea of him kicking the ball inside 50, especially with a guy like Oscar Allen down there now. So yeah, I think that's the role they've sort of got. Whether he can chime in for a couple of goals here and there, maybe get his 13 to maybe 16 disposals as a bit of a high half forward, using his elite foot skills, kicking the ball inside 50. That really looks like the role they've earmarked for him. I don't know whether they've determined that that's going to be better for his injuries too, maybe in a specific role like that. They were talking about that a little bit. But yeah, that's been a couple of weeks now, and then they've trialled it. But I think it's probably just a bit of a wait and see, I guess, on the official practice game, which is when we're probably really going to get our answers on which role he's going to play. So, um, how was Annabelle? I was trying to watch him too. He was definitely good in patches from where I saw. Like I said, it's a bit tricky when you're watching without the disposals and stuff. You obviously lean on those stats quite a lot, to sort of tell you, because like I said, players could be playing really well, and sometimes you just don't notice it. They've had all these little quick little handballs on the inside. When you got the stats there, you're like, fuck, he's had 15 disposals already or something. But yeah, he was good. I'm not sure where the role that he's kind of gonna fit. Obviously, you're not slotting into that midfield. Can they play him off like a wing at times? Like I said, where the Coleman's across half forward now, you got Link McCarthy coming back as well. So there's two more half forwards going into that side as well. Like I said, you got Oscar Allen in there that's going to take another spot in that forward line. So I'm not sure he can even, play as a small forward as he comes in. And then you sort of got Berry and Levi that were on those wings, or whether it's a Fletcher on the wing. So I'm just not sure where he fits into that side just yet. But look, he's going to be a really good player, I think. Just he might have to bide his time a little bit. Unless there's an injury or something, then he probably comes in and can probably be at the level straight away. So Jagger was really good. He was sort of the standout for me. Colton had a few. Ainsworth was really good, sort of forward to centre, really dangerous and clean with the footy. Hayward looked really good. Florent was actually not too bad behind the ball as well. I was gonna nearly. Did I chuck his name up there? No, I was gonna chuck his name up there. I can't remember what he was, but I think it was maybe around the 230 or something. Florent. I just wonder if he's gonna play like a really crucial role at Carlton as maybe a bit of a distributor. I think he's got really good foot skills. He was sort of behind a couple at Sydney, but it might depend on when Nick Newman comes back and a few other things as well. So. Best barber in Oz. I'll take your word for it. That's what I was had to join. Yeah, but I'm not sure which you mean join in terms of what, bro. Do you mean in terms of our Discord? Is that what you're talking about, or um worth having Coleman in the team? For me, not. I don't think so. If he plays that half forward role, I just don't really seeing him scoring high enough to really make too much money. And you're not putting him in your team because he's going to get awesome scores. You're putting him because he's underpriced and can probably make you some money. But I think there'll be some rookies out there that are far cheaper than him that will probably play more. If you think of some of these guys at Richmond, Essendon, I mean, Melbourne's got so many open midfield spots now. I've been really bullish on a guy like Caleb Windsor. Um, whether it's Langford going into the middle, you know, whether that young Taylor comes in from Melbourne and plays a halfback. So I think there's a lot better options out there, to be honest, that are cheaper. That grill from Richmond's one, I think. I mean, Gibcus is dirt cheap. At least you know he's going to be a lock in that back line. They got Cumming as well. So yeah, I just think there's probably some better options if he's going to be a half forward flanker. I'm just not sure that's really going to translate to great scores if he sort of lives in that 13 to 15 disposals. Unless he can sort of be really efficient, maybe like a Brian Myers type who scored really well. He was one I watched pretty closely the other day. A lot of goal assists and stuff like that. Pinch hit with a couple of goals. If he can maybe get his numbers to around maybe like 17 disposals or something, averaging that at a good efficiency rate. So look, he's probably still going to score right just because he's such a good player. But then you got all the injury risk on top of that stuff. So a bit of a wait and see for me. I'm not sure that I'll have him there because if he's only probably going to score you maybe 70, like I said, I think you can probably go and find someone who's just come out of the draft that's probably going to play in one of these lesser sides. Like I mentioned, some of these guys at maybe Essendon or Richmond or Melbourne. So that's probably what I'm looking at because they'll make more money, and if they can score around somewhere similar, then it's a pretty good option, I think. So. Would you drop Coleman? Yeah. Who are some players? EHO. I should get instead of Coleman. I'm not sure what that one is, but yeah, you'd have to go through, bro. We're actually gonna do probably another big Super Coach one, maybe like early next week or something like that. As these practice games start coming through, yeah, I'll be sort of each night when these practice game comes through after every game, then I'll be sort of going through my Super Coach and either ticking players off or maybe putting a line through them. Once we actually see a proper game, so we'll jump back on it and do some more lives exactly like this. I'll fill this screen up here. Now we're doing it this way. You get so much more room and it's so much cleaner and easier to read. So I'll be able to sort of fill this up, with some options from the backs, mids, bench options, whatever it is. We'll do a big, huge live for a couple of hours or something around all that. So, is Dunkley and Draper injured already? Yeah, well, these little red symbols here, we're just through like a preseason. Dunkley actually played tonight. It was just that he had a shoulder up through the preseason or whatever. So they've just given that to a few players. But yeah, he looked fine, ready to go. That was probably just a scheduled thing for someone who struggles with a bit of shoulders. He probably just gets what they call a bit of a clean-up, like an arthroscope or whatever it is in there. A bit of a clean out in the shoulder. So he looked fine. And Draper's been nursing. I think it was a stress. I don't know if it was a stress fracture or stress related, something in the foot. But they reckon it's healing quite well. So, yeah, they're saying probably he'll be ready to go potentially by the first game, but Brisbane might just hold him back because they've got an early season bye, and then just sort of launch him after that. Draper injured, yes, correct, just as we touched on. Did Harry Dean play? And if so, how'd he go? Yeah, he did. He was actually pretty good. I can't remember what his value is at for Super Coach, whether you want to sit him on the bench, but he does look like someone who probably will play a lot of footy this year, I think. Yeah, I think he could slot into that role and probably play most of the season. So I'm not sure how much scoring he'll get. But in terms of if you're a Carlton fan asking just about footy itself, yeah, he was. He was sort of really good. Took a couple of strong marks. Played on Oscar Allen quite a bit. He looked a bit off the pace to me. Oscar Allen dropped a couple of easy marks. Leading patterns just looked a little bit off as well at times. Obviously, trying to get to know his new teammates and learn a new system and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, he was pretty good, really, to be honest. So yeah, like I said, depends if you're asking more so about Super Coach or just as a footy fan or a Carlton fan. So keep firing away with questions, guys. If you missed the game, we got any questions? What a great game. Yeah. If you're a Carlton fan, like I said, there wasn't really too much for me to take away from it. A lot of the stuff I sort of probably knew. It was really just having a look at Coleman and seeing how fit he was, what role he was actually going to play. Liam Reedy was another one that I really wanted to get a good look at. Which, like I said, not really sold that he's going to be the starting ruckman as like they hoped. He could be a good one just to keep on the bench because I think he still probably will play a big chunk of footy. Whether that's them resting Pitnet at times or, like I said, maybe they are one of these teams that just play an extra big man on the bench and maybe they just rotate their ruckman directly through the bench. And then if Pitnet ever goes down with an injury, I guess, then his score could sort of ramp right up. So probably not a bad option at that price, at least to have sort of sitting on your bench. But yeah, like I said, I think there's going to be some rookies that step in and play a lot of footy this year, predominantly from probably Richmond and West Coast and Essendon and these sorts of sides. Yeah, West Coast one I'm pretty keen to have a look at too because there's a couple of guys there. That I'm sort of looking at. Even for bench, a guy like Schomburg, who's gone across from Adelaide by all reports, he's sort of the clear one at the moment who's getting a lot of midfield minutes and stuff. Him and Dev Robertson, more so than Finn McRae, who's also gone there. Yeah, like Lindsay off half back. Some of these young guys who are just going to step in and play a lot of footy. Dersma looks like he's locked down a wing role at West Coast as well. I'm not sure I'm in love with that, the scoring. Like I said, I think there's probably some of these other guys that might score better than him and they're going to be cheaper. So, I mean, Jagger Smith's a perfect one. But yeah, probably not the best spectacle, these sort of games. But yeah, depends if you're saying as a Carlton fan it was a good game. Jagger looking good. Yes, sir. That's come through on the YouTube one. So this is actually, I'm liking this new setup because it's currently streaming on like 6 different platforms. But yeah, I'm getting all of them come through one now. So they all come through one chat. And then TikTok's just its own separate one as well. But so not sure. You guys might be able to tell me. I think this is something I was going to check. But I think you guys should be able to see everything on the screen. Even the group chats, the chats, even either side. Hopefully you guys can see that as well and sort of follow along with the questions. Oh, Sid Draper. We've been talking about obviously Draper from Brisbane, Sam Draper, unless that's who you meant. Sid Draper was one I was looking at from Adelaide too. I think he'd been nursing some injuries through the pre-season, which didn't fill me with confidence. And then I'm not sure he's maybe gone to that level where he can start in that midfield just yet either. But maybe just clarify if you're talking about Sid Draper or Sam Draper. I'm off to the Bulldogs game, and really to see Charlie Curnow lose. Yeah, there's was it this? I think there's 2 games on tomorrow. We're gonna have a look at that. I think there was, yeah, I think Gold Coast is playing. That's one I really want to watch. I want to have a close look at Petrarca and how that's gonna work. Matty Rowe's going to be missing a bit too, so Petrarca might just slot straight into that midfield, even more so. So, St Kilda and Gold Coast, yeah, that's what I thought. And then what was the other one you said? Yeah, Doggies and Sydney, obviously. good games to watch, I reckon. Like I said, I'll be watching some of those pretty closely at Gold Coast. More just for our whole season overall too. Like I said, I'll really want to be across of maybe guys that are maybe playing a different role this year, maybe taking kick-ins, playing in a different position where they're going to get more disposals this year. Because we're looking to get off to a really big start. I'm hoping it should be full markets almost next week with the official practice games, just like it was the State of Origin. So, um, yeah, I'm taking in a lot of this. Like I said, tonight to follow along as well. But um, good to watch for Supercoach too. If you just want to find out who's playing in different roles and stuff. Like I said, Reedy was one today. You could sort of just tell he's still clearly the backup at the moment. Did McCluggage play? He didn't. I don't think any of the State of Origin guys will probably play. Maybe as it goes through later in the week, potentially, just because they're getting an extra day or two or three to rest. By all reports, he was just a little bit sore. He pulled up a little bit sore, so they didn't want to. He's already obviously got the K's in the leg, so there probably wasn't much point of him playing in this one. So, but he's going to be in for a hell of a year, I would have thought. For some reason, I'm very interested to see how North Melbourne play. Yeah, I've been pretty bullish on North just overall. I think in their progression and their growth they got, if they can keep sort of drafting right and maybe get a few big names in. Yeah, they've just got so much talent on that side. So, um, yeah, I'm sort of keen to watch how they go as well. McKercher was a big one, obviously. We've discussed him quite a lot. I've been right on the fence of trying to squeeze him in my team just because he's a little bit cheaper than maybe some of these premiums. And I think from what they're saying, he looks like to have cemented that half-back position and taken the kickouts, as we saw last year when he just went there and dominated for the last after the bye or whatever in that back half of the season. So he looks underpriced if he's going to play that role. Unfortunately, I think he's just broken a finger or he's having finger surgery. He was walking around in a sling today from what I saw. So that's just another little bit of a curveball. By all reports, he'll be back for the first game. So how did Annabelle and Jagger look? Jagger was really, really good. Probably, I don't know if it was just whether I was watching him very closely, but he really stood out. Him and Walsh, I think it's just their running ability, their two-way running ability. They really broke the lines through the center a lot. Just very dangerous, move the ball quick, which is what you want as a key forward and stuff too. So, yeah, they're sort of difference makers in that midfield. He's going to be an unbelievable player, I think, for a very long time. Annabelle was okay. It was a bit hard to get a gauge on how he was because I think he was sort of coming off the bench a bit and sort of chopping and changing roles. So it was a bit hard to sort of pinpoint how he was going, especially because they don't show the disposals or anything like that. So, but yeah, he looks pretty clean at times and stuff as well. I'm just not sure where he fits in terms of a role in that side. They're just so stacked everywhere. And like I said, if Coleman comes back in and plays like that half forward role, then Link McCarthy's in there and Oscar Allen. That's like another three spots you got to find in that forward line. So I'm not sure Annabelle can come in and just play as a high half forward as maybe some of these young draft picks do as they move into the midfield. So the worry is I'm just not sure there's a spot for him. So um, with Levi pretty much locking down one of those wing spots now and Jared Berry locking down the other one, he might be one of those ones that maybe a door opens at some stage through injury. But I think that's probably where he's at the moment. It's just such a strong side to get into. So I might bring in Taylor Byrne for my super coach because they reckon he's going to play round one. Yeah, they did mention that. I'm guessing if you watched it, I think they definitely said he put his name forward. I mean, he kicked. I don't know if he kicked them all, but I think he kicked three in the last quarter and essentially won him the game. Really, yeah, looked very dangerous, clean with the footy. Yeah, I guess there'll be a few fighting for that spot, that sort of high half forward. Because, like I said, Haywood comes in. Ainsworth was probably nearly one of Carlton's best as well. Um, so yeah, he'll be in that mix. I think with quite a few of them. It was like Fogarty, Motlop. I guess some of these other small forwards. I guess which might chop and change each week, dependent on form. I would guess. Lions mid too stacked. Yeah, it really is. And then, like I said, normally what happens, these draft picks will come in and just maybe they play off a wing or they roll up as a high half forward and sort of pinch hit through the midfield. But even there's not available. Like I said, if Kitty Coleman's now playing as a half forward, then Link McCarthy, albeit he got sort of flipped around a little bit tonight as well. But yeah, I mean they had uh, who else didn't play? I mean Rayner didn't play tonight either. Even with Hipwood, if he comes back, Oscar Allen in that side now. Um, yeah, there's not really too many spots available at Brisbane. Like I said, it might be one of those ones where he's got to bide his time, and maybe an injury opens a door for him at some stage. 3 goals in 7 minutes. Yeah, yeah, that's the sort of stuff that stands out watching it. Like I said, when you haven't got the stats and stuff, yeah, little purple patches like that definitely stand out. Um, have you got Todd Marshall in the team? Apparently, he's been training as a defender. I do. He's actually as a forward on Super Coach, but yes, he is definitely playing as a defender this year, and by all reports, actually taking a good chunk of kickouts at times as well. Um, with Connor Rosey sort of bouncing from defender also into the midfield a little bit. They might have just swung him that role to take kickouts. I actually watched an interview with him today that was on the radio talking a bit about it. I think they actually approached him, Josh Carr. I think it was midway through last season when he got injured, and they just sort of said, "Hey, as you're going to be out for the rest of the year, what we want you to do is start working with the defenders." And he was, by all reports, sitting up there and working closely with Radaglia and some of these guys down back and Alir. So I think this has been in the works for a while. So yeah, he is 100% going to be in the back line, and I dare say he's going to be a lock. They really like his ball use and foot skills, so they want to get him involved on offense. They wanted an extra sort of tool down there as well. So yeah, by all reports, this is a big structured plan, and they think it solves a big problem they had. And I think he's what 100 and he's dirt cheap. Yeah, dirt cheap. So he could be a very nice cash cow. So yeah, he's been in my team from day dot. Um, whether he sits on the bench at stages, we'll see. But I think just that role alone, um, just taking kickouts, he might be getting 7 or 8, I'll say, let's say 6 to 7, maybe extra disposals per week, some intercept possessions. If they go through him a bit as one of their distributors off half back, if he can sort of get his 16, 17 disposals, take some intercept marks, some intercept possessions, all that fun stuff. Yeah, he could be a really good cash cow, I think, just how cheap he is, and he's going to pretty much be a lock in their best 22 and play every week, which is really what you're looking for in these cash cows. They don't have to set the world on fire, but if you can just trust that they're in that best 22 and they're going to show up and score every week, then they're going to make you some good money. So, um, yeah, he's definitely mine. That's what I should do. Yeah, keep firing away with questions, guys. I won't be on too long tonight. Like I said, there's probably not too much to take away from it, but I knew there'd be some people pretty keen on how Jagger Smith went. Maybe Liam Reedy, Sam Draper, some of these guys. Said I actually think if you're looking for someone who can get genuine hundreds consistently, I think Sam Walsh could be very underpriced as well. I think he's only just a tick over 500, but he's probably going to get similar scores to some of these guys up around the 600 mark. So if you're maybe running a little bit low on cash and can't quite get those elite sort of premiums, he could be one where you can save a little bit of money. He might be able to actually make you a little bit of money as well as putting up some good scores. It's just whether we trust him with injuries, I guess, is the concern with him. So keep firing away, guys. I'm just checking this so I can actually see the live feed at times as well. Let's just go overall. It's a little bit different to our usual live, so I'm just going to try and get a bit of a handle on it. Oh, I knew that would happen if I got out of it. Oh, there we go. Oh. Sorry, guys. I'm just... There we go. I don't think my comments are coming through. Yeah, not sure why, bro. I could see a couple back up to McCluggage, and then great pick, and then that was the last one I can see for some reason. So I'm hoping this works out nice and smooth. It's just a lot easier to see. Those green screens, I mean, are really good. But you know, my sort of head was blocking it most of the time and shit as well. So we can fit so much more on here. And like I said, also stream it to a bunch of different platforms for maybe guys that aren't huge on TikTok. You should be able to go now, and whether you follow us on Facebook or YouTube, or even now Kick and Twitch, Twitter, a whole bunch of them now, you'll be able to watch these streams on whatever platform. So, how did Liam Reedy go? He was all right. Like I said, it's a bit hard because there was no stats to follow along with. What I didn't love, he clearly looked like the backup. Pitnet was really starting the quarters and finishing the quarters. Yeah, I just didn't really notice him much at all. And like I said, without the stats to fall back on, like he might have ended up maybe with a good chunk of hitouts and maybe some tackles and that stuff you don't really notice when you're watching him. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe some stats will come out eventually. Someone might have been recording him somewhere. But yeah, it just didn't fill me with too much confidence that he really isn't going to be that number one. I think what everyone hoped, where he's just gone in there and taken the number one mantle. It just doesn't look like that. Pitnet still seems to be the first choice ruckman there, and I think he was actually pretty solid most of the game, Pitnet, like he always is. So, yeah, like I said, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, Carlton are pretty small down forward now too, let's be honest. I mean, they've got really Harry Mackay and that's it. So they might be one of these teams, like I said, that maybe fill that extra bench spot this year with an extra tall. And that could be Reedy. So whether he plays forward at times or, like I said, whether they just do a direct swap and have the rucks coming off the bench, it's going to be interesting to see how the teams go about it. But that could be one, I guess, where there's that ruck combination in there that would maybe manage Pitnet as well at times. I am rethinking about Harry Mackay and my Supercoach team. I reckon he should be a watch. Do you agree? Yeah, he's actually looking. Yeah, he's actually looking really good. I don't really love taking like big key tall forwards just as a bit of a rule of thumb. I just think there's going to be games where they go missing when you're just sitting down in the goal square. Like I said, he'd actually done a little bit of backup ruck work at times as well, which was good for him. I'm just not sure with Reedy coming in now. I don't know if that role's going to be there, and I think that was in part because they had Kerno down forward as well, or TDK could go forward. So he's really the only big forward down there. Um, so yeah, for me, the worry would be is that he's just ill. And I mean, Carlton, I see Carlton as still one of the bottom sides this year. So they're probably not going to kick great scores, which means that probably ball's not going to go down there a hell of a lot. If I'm taking a key forward, I'm probably taking someone from Gold Coast or Brisbane, or one of these ones that's going to get a lot more inside 50s. So every time I click the button, that goes away. It's annoying. How you rate the Dons this year? I'm actually keen to have a look at them, man. I'm probably in the same boat as all you guys. We don't really have too much to go off yet, So, um, I don't know. Have they really improved? I think they've actually, by the looks, I think they've actually gone out and got some really good talent this year in the draft, which is maybe somewhere where they've been lacking. I don't know, I'm just not sure whether I see the improvement coming from them. I mean, like their forward line and their back line, and that it's pretty much the same. Like they've got some good young kids in. I think are going to be good players. Um, yeah, I'm just not sure where they're going to get a lot better unless Darcy Parish can string a really good season together. Him and Merritt. Where are they at the ruck department? They're essentially going to have a young rookie ruckman by the looks. He could get absolutely slaughtered in games coming up against some of these elite ruckmen. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I don't know. You might be able to tell me what you think if you're a Bombers supporter. But I'm just not sure I see where the growth's coming from. Um, Obviously, each year, a lot of the good sides, you get those players that just naturally go to the next level. Maybe they've been in the system for 1, 2, sort of 3 years, they're getting their body right, and they can sort of explode. But I'm just not sure who that's going to be for the Bombers. Um, like I think you'll be able to see some of these teams that have gone out. Like St Kilda, you've probably got some info there. You can be like, well, Silvani's probably really what they needed behind the footy. They've gone out and got TDK, which sort of frees Marshall up to be a bit of a forward. That fills in for King when he's out injured. Then they've gone out and got Flanders. So they've really filled some holes, I think. So you could make a case of why you could see really St Kilda pushing up the ladder on the back of all that what they've done. I'm just not sure I really see what that's going to be for the Bombers. So I mean, Carlton's probably another one. I mean, like I said, they got some good players in. Look, Ainsworth will be a really serviceable player, I'd say. Hayward's going to be a really good forward. I really rate him as a player. But I mean, you lost Charlie Kurnos, you know what I mean, and TDK, so it's like they definitely didn't get any better. So it's going to be interesting. There might be some real blowouts this year, I think. I mean, even with my team, Melbourne, I mean, who knows how they'll sort of go, that the whole midfield sort of change. God forbid if Max Gawn ever misses some weeks or something like that. Could get really ugly this year, I think. I think the gap between the best and the worst this year could open up a little bit. And then there'll probably be that log jam in the middle, as there always is, of teams that are fighting out for that top 10 now, which is going to be fun to watch. But yeah, like if you look at how good sort of Gold Coast has got as well, I mean, how good they already were, and then throw in Petrarca, Yulin coming in, Jamara down forward. It's kind of insane how stacked they are. Like I said, with Brisbane, some of these top teams just got better and better. I mean, throw in Draper and Oscar Allen alone into that, and then throw in Annabelle, another top pick as well. It's like they're absolutely stacked. It could get a bit ugly when a Melbourne or an Essendon or Carlton or or West Coast, maybe even still go up to the Gabba and play someone like Brisbane, or even go up to the Gold Coast. So it's going to be interesting. What's up, guys? A few more people still coming through. Like the new setup. Thank you, bro. I think it's good to hear it from you guys, because I mean, this is what I'm doing it for, to try and give you guys a better experience. Um, it's taking a bit. I did a practice run earlier today, and it was stuffing up a little bit, same as the other night. And I realized it was such an easy fix. The volume on my microphone was just cranked up so high, it was just like um almost squealing at itself, and it was just buzzing because it was up cranked up so high, and it's actually got an echo switch. But yeah, happy. I mean, it's kind of perfect timing. Like I said, there's probably not too much importance on these just at the moment. But obviously, when we get going, as of sort of next week, there's money on the line and all this sort of stuff. People want picks, they want insights, they want all that stuff. So yeah, happy I could get this set up, because now it just opens up so much more on the screen. I can just share so much more with you guys. Like I said, it now allows me to, instead of just limiting our lives to TikTok, like right now we're on TikTok, Kick, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. So just better reach. It's just so much better overall. So obviously won't be able to take this on the road with me too much. Whether that's when I'm over in America for the sports season, probably next NFL season, I'll probably be over in America and bouncing around as I always do throughout the footy season. But yeah, we can always go back to the TikTok and YouTube or whatever. So I couldn't watch the game tonight. How did Reedy go? Didn't fill me with a lot of confidence, to be honest, bro. Like he was clearly the backup for me. Pitnet started and finished pretty much every quarter. Um, yeah, I was really hoping that he was going to be sort of the clear number one ruck, and he could be a huge cash cow. Just not sure that's going to be the case. Like I said, I'll be interested to see how they approach the official practice game. Because they just look like they're lacking another tall forward. So I don't know, is he that type of guy who can play as a genuine forward and pinch hit? I don't think Pitnet's really got that in his game, but they might like the idea of having an extra ruck on the bench just as an extra tall. I mean, that had to play into the fact with letting Kerno go as well, I guess, that maybe they had confidence. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to watch. But yeah, in terms of Supercoach, bro, didn't really fill me with any confidence at all. Much more that he's probably just going to be a bench player. He'll still probably make some good money as maybe the secondary for now anyway. I'm sure he'll play a big chunk of footy though, because Pitnet, they might sort of rest him at times throughout the season, and he's getting a bit older now too, so there could be injuries that open up and stuff. So have you watched NRL games yet? Yeah, I watched the first sort of couple. There just really wasn't much to take from them, like, at all. Like even the bookies were like way off, like huge favourites, and talking about how heavily stacked one side was and then not the other side. It's just kind of what I always probably thought of NRL. It's just so much more inconsistent than footy, and when the full market's open too, I just don't think there's anywhere near as value. The same sort of value. Like if you think with AFL, it's not hard to pick someone for 10, 11, 12 or 13 disposals, In NRL, you don't really have any of that. You're really taking the teams to win, or maybe some over-unders, or a try score where the value is, but it can be so hit and miss. So, yeah, I just don't really love it as a sport. I mean, for one, when you're comparing it to AFL, but in terms of what we do as well. So, but yeah, I'll be definitely following it very closely and having a look, because we're obviously doing some really big giveaways this year for our tipping comps, and we've got a super coach for NRL as well. So I'll be looking at it more from that point of view, just following the games for our tipping side of things. Obviously, I'll be trying to win these competitions myself. Might save myself some money if I can actually win them. But so yeah, I'll be sort of locking in on that. And there might be some weeks where we feel like maybe there is a little bit more value, or some maybe one-sided matches that we can target. So um, yeah, I'll be just sort of treating it for what it is sort of what I see it as, is probably not quite as reliable as the AFL. They're going to be screwed if Mackay goes down. Yeah, I think it's going to be a tough year for Carlton. Like I said, promising if you're a Carlton fan, with the guys that come in. Like, I think they were really good. I mean, Jagger Smith was a standout for me. Walsh looked really good. Um, and then both Ainsworth and Hayward were very good as well for them forward to centre. So they're going to have to rely on their small forwards and midfielders and their hybrids, sort of like a Hayward. Hayward's probably going to have to kick 40 or 50, I reckon. I just don't know where else they really get their goals from. Like, it might be guys like Ainsworth or some of these other small forwards popping up. Whether they can use Reedy as a forward backing up in the ruck. So, yeah, it might be a bit of a long year for the Blues, I think. But like I said, good signs when you can at least go up to Queensland and beat Brisbane, albeit a match sim. But I mean, they still had some good players out there, so um, nothing new with Chera going down with the hammer. I thought I saw that. They didn't really mention it. I thought I saw that. Yeah, him holding his hamstring. He was just doing not much again either. Like, he's just that one of those players who'll just kind of run around and get his like sort of 18 to 21 disposals. Doesn't really run and carry with the ball. He's just a bit of a nothing player for me. I'm just not sure where he really fits. I think there's a few players sort of like that now, and I mean, Prestia's probably in that basket now at Richmond when he's just injured more so than not. Um, yeah, at some point you've probably got to, like I said, just watching today of like how much Jagger Smith stood out so much more with his ball use and his run and carry and the way he could break the lines. Him and Walsh really stand out. And I think Hewitt plays a really important role as that inside mid, which Cripps does as well. I'm just not really sure what Chera's role is anymore. So it probably won't hurt him too much, to be honest. But yeah, like you said, it doesn't help too. At some point when you got these guys that are just getting soft tissue injuries and they're not really changing much, you start wondering where their spot is actually in the team. So uh, I was glad Charlie Curnow left because he's injury prone. Well, it's funny sometimes too. Then they go to a new club and then they're just like fully fit. You never really know too, right? It's like, is it the player? Is it like the doctors there? It's kind of crazy that certain teams can get their players up better. I mean, Brisbane's one of them. I think it was when Joe Danaher went there with all the troubles he sort of had. I think it was a big part of Oscar Allen going there. For whatever reason, people go up to Brisbane and just extend their careers and get their bodies healthy. So it's obviously something to do with the medical, or this is the doctors or the staff up there, or the way they do the training, the sports science, whatever it is. But yeah, it's kind of funny. But he could be in for a monster season, Charlie Curnow. Um, like on that small ground of the SCG with Brody Grundy. If there's sort of Warner, Heaney, Goulden, um, coming out of that midfield, he's never seen ball use like that ever at Carlton. So if he can be fully fit, like I said, on a small ground, if they can dominate clearances with the elite foot skills they got coming out of that midfield, um, yeah, he could have an absolute monster season this year, Charlie Curnow. Um, might be a bit of a smoky for the Coleman if he can play enough. Do you watch the NBA All? Did I watch the NBA All Star? Nah, I had no real interest in it, bro. To be honest, so busy, really, just setting all this stuff up, ready to go for footy season. It's been good. Even this week, we're gonna have a bit of fun with the NBA to sort of fill the void this week. But then that's obviously there's been like a 4 day break or whatever in that. So probably tomorrow night's live, maybe even more so than the footy. We might talk some NBA tomorrow. Have a little bit of fun around that on Friday, and then we'll have a bit of we've still got the AFL match sims and the NRL preseason, and then yeah, it's going to be right into the AFL after that, right from the very first official preseason game where I'm hoping all the markets will be open. We'll be cracking in straight away on this. Like I said, we've done so much good work all through the NFL season to put us in a really good position now to just like launch straight into the AFL when maybe most people are gonna start building their way up that budget and stuff. Like we've been there for months and months now, so yeah, everything's sort of shaping up for the start of this footy season. So and then maybe more so like NBA sort of playoffs time, which I do think actually gets a lot more consistent. Because I think NBA can be really easy at times. It's just you can't really trust the players because of the injury concerns or the back to back games and the travel and all this crazy stuff. But when you've just got one team versus the other team playing a series of 7 games, um, yeah, I just think it can become a lot more consistent. And obviously, the best players are playing more minutes because there is no tomorrow. So we'll definitely have a look at NBA sort of come the playoffs time as well to fill in some of the space during the week. So, um, Geelong moneyline and Baz 28 disposals all season is gonna feed generations. I like it. Geelong moneyline, I'm not convinced on. I mean, they might be another one. I mean, they're always good. That's the thing you know about Geelong. But have they gotten better this year? Like, if Cameron's getting more and more injuries, Dangerfield's a year older. We know that he probably won't play a good chunk of the games just to get through the season. Um, have they gotten better, Geelong? I'm trying to think who they really bought in, like Warple. I'm just not sure. I think, like I said, I think we're going to see a lot of growth from Gold Coast. I think Brisbane, as they've the way they've recruited, they've even filled holes that maybe they were lacking a little bit with that extra key forward, a ruckman. I'm not sure. Has Geelong gotten any better? Um, how did Coleman and McCarthy look? Um, both looked pretty solid. They both got thrown around a little bit. Coleman actually looked really good, but he was literally playing out of the goal square as a full forward at times. So he was in a genuine forward pocket type role, and then he did push up the ground to the wings a little bit as a high half forward. Really looks like they think that he can be a good goal kicker for them and potentially get up a bit higher up around the wings and use that left foot to maybe hit targets inside 50. So maybe they isolated that as some room for improvement. Maybe they're kicking inside 50, and that looks like that's what they want him there for. I don't know whether they think that's a good way to ease his body into it as well, rather than streaming, off half back, breaking the lines and running and carrying. Whether it's more just cruising around as a high half forward and not having to break too many lines, but just get the ball and roll onto his left foot and hit targets inside 50. I think there's a bit to that. They touched on that a little bit. So, and McCarthy was actually playing across half back a little bit at times. So, like I said, it's probably why the scoreline's the way it is because they really did just try some things, Brisbane, I think. So it was a little bit hard to get a gauge on. But in terms of that, they both look pretty sharp, pretty fit. Some of the skills were very sloppy at times, which you're gonna see early on in the preseason. So a bit of an ugly watch at times, but what odds should my multis be usually? That's probably where a lot of people go wrong too, bro. Like thinking that that's actually an answer. The honest answer is your odds should be whatever you pick that you feel safe with, right? So you should be able to pick whether you're picking a couple of disposals or whatever. If you pick 3 or 4 and they're the only ones you really trust that you think this, I feel really, really good about this. You can build a case of why you love the role they play, the position. Maybe they're taking the kick-ins or maybe it's a full forward with a really good matchup for goals. Whatever it is, you put them in, and then that's what you go with. And whatever the value is, the value is. As soon as you start trying to create value to hit a specific number or value, this is where everybody loses. They throw in that extra leg, or it's crazy sometimes. It's like to bump it up to get an extra 5 cents, to get it from like $1.95 to $2, or something crazy like that. Just accept the smaller odds and just put a little bit more on it to get paid out the same. So, especially with AFL, when you've got like, when there's no buys and stuff, obviously, but if you got like 9 games every weekend for what, nearly 30 weeks, straight from round zero, or even the preseason games now as well, 24 rounds, and then 4 weeks of finals. Yeah, like I said, you're talking about nearly like 30 weeks of footy. You don't need to win it all in one go, and this is where most people go wrong. So, yeah, I would say maybe shift away from thinking there is a specific value to target. What you should be targeting is winners. What is the safest, smartest way you can consistently find winners every week? You know what I mean? That's what it should come down to. Because if it doesn't pay that much, well, cool. Just say thank you for the easy win, and then win on the next game, and then the next game. And I can promise you, if you hit 7 or 8 out of those 9 because they're really safe and really smart, you'll win far more than anyone that maybe got a little bit greedy and had one big win for the round. You'll go, oh yeah, cool. Well, I had 8 small wins that accumulated into nearly 10x, and you make 20 or 30 units in a weekend from being really smart and really safe. So that would be my honest advice on it, and I do think it's where a lot of people go wrong. So, do you reckon Langford has a breakout season? I do. Yeah, I mean, there's never probably been a player in a better position, really, right? I mean, there's so much sort of Bontempelli about him. He's obviously a long way off that, but just that, it's just like watching the same player at times. The sort of height and the strength, the outside running, the long left foot, overhead marking. He's a natural goal kicker. So yeah, I think he's going to be a great player. And then all of a sudden, the midfield just opened up. Oliver left, Petrarca left, Viney's out injured. Obviously, we bring in Jack Steele, who I think just slots straight in there as almost our primary midfielder to start, and they build around him. And yeah, he probably slots in as the second one. And then you got Cozzy, and then you'll have Rivers going through there. Caleb Windsor will play through there more this year with Melbourne's new game plan. So, yeah, as a D's fan, I'm very bullish on him, as he's the guy who's going to be a star for Melbourne for the next decade. Obviously, if he can keep his body right and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, some players like that, even if it's not all strung together like that. I mean, Petrarca took his time as well with early injuries in his career, but playing as a half forward really had to build his tank a little bit. But you kind of know, you can see it in certain players, whether it's they've got the height, they've got the build, they've got the strength, they've got the skills. They maybe just haven't put it all together yet. Maybe they need to get a little bit more professional or a little bit more fitter or whatever it is. So, he is definitely that type who can just have a breakout season for sure. Whether it's maybe this year or maybe takes a few steps forward and then it's next year. We probably saw it with even guys like Dustin Martin and some of these. I lose interest in the NBA because season is too long. Yeah, too, bro. And if you're looking for if you're trying to have fun and want to see consistencies, consistent winners and stuff, it can be so tricky in the NBA. Like, the amount of times you can do everything right and then they all just get ejected for starting a fight on the court, or they just get benched because they're in foul trouble, or just all this crazy, crazy nonsense that happens. And then throw on top of that, the players actually full blown cheat and they bet on themselves to lose and they fake injuries. This is all stuff we know now. So yeah, it's really not a great sport. I love basketball overall as a sport. There's so much I actually hate about the NBA. I mean, the way the players carry on, and half of them are drunk or stoned half the time, and so many overpaid, and the way they sook, and yeah, it's just, yeah, like you said, it can be a real grind over a long season. So we'll probably do what we did this year. We absolutely killed it. For the first 3 weeks, we rarely, I think we only missed 2 out of our first 20, or was it 20, 20 of our first 22, which did us like a 70x on the ladder challenge that we were doing, sharing with everyone as well. So that was when players weren't banged up. There was no injuries. Everyone was fresh to start the season. And then it just took a real nosedive when the players started playing more and more back to backs. They had some niggling injuries. Players were pulling out before the games. It just creates so much chaos. And then you've got to factor in the time difference being here in Australia. So, but yeah, like you said, the playoffs can be a whole different ball game because you're going to see the best players out there playing more minutes, and you'll see a lot more consistency. So, um, Warps won't change anything. Geelong might finally drop. I feel a bit the same, bro. Um, I think they're just so well drilled and the experienced and well coached. They're always going to be there and thereabouts, especially if they win, a big chunk of their home games. But yeah, I think with the way the footy's going to the game's speeding up a little bit. I don't know if Warple's really that type of guy that's going to impact the games. We see what Holmes and Bailey Smith do there. Maybe they feel comfortable they've got enough outside run that they wanted to strengthen up that inside game with Atkins. I'm not sure they're really still strong in the ruck department. Like we said, I don't think Cameron's going to get any better. I mean, he had an unbelievable season, obviously, but can he surpass that and kick more goals and be more dominant this year? Obviously, probably not. You would think. Danger's still playing some good footy, but as we know, like his best is far behind him. They've got to manage his body just to get him through the seasons these days. So, yeah, I mean Shannon Neal looks like a very likely type for a long time. We saw that Polkinghorn coming through. He looks pretty impressive as a young forward. Henry down there still got a lot of talent, but whether he can maybe string it all together and he can have a bit of a breakout year and maybe kick maybe 30 goals or something and hold his spot down. But yeah, I think there's just some teams this preseason specifically that sort of went out and got some good recruits or some top end talent in the draft. So, but we've probably been saying the same thing for about Geelong for how long now, just expecting them to drop. Like I said, when you're just a really well drilled team, they all know the game plan so well. You've got an elite coach, obviously, for a very long time. So sometimes that obviously far outweighs the talent so much, the player to player individual talent. If you've got a really good cohesive team that are really well drilled and disciplined, it can obviously go a long way in sport. Obviously, as we've seen for decades with them. So Wobble was a depth signing. He'll probably play VFL. I don't know. I think he's a good player. Yeah, I just don't know. I mean, he probably doesn't start in there, does he? Because, I mean, depends where they start. Holmes maybe, but if you got Holmes and Smith, and then Atkins is a good, reliable inside mid as there is. I think he led the tackle count again for the season. Lots of contested possessions. I actually think he's a really good player, Atkins. Yeah, I'm just not sure they needed another type of that player. Especially the way the game's going now, like speeding it up and more of a transition game. But yeah, you never really question what Geelong do, can you? Because I mean, their records sort of speak for itself. So there'll be a few interesting ones. Like I've been pretty sort of bullish on Fremantle for a couple of years now, just thinking they've got so much stacked talent there. If they can just put that together, with Jackson's role that he's playing now, if Hayden Young can get fully fit, I mean, Brayshaw and Sarong is as good a combination as anyone. You got Sean Darcy still in the ruck. Whether maybe they can use Mason Cox as a forward with that extra bench spot now with a little bit of backup in the ruck, which frees up Jackson as a midfield / forward type. They've got Tracy down forward, got a really good back line. I think Judd McVeigh is going to be really good for Fremantle this year as another distributor off half back. So they could be a team that could be maybe finally make that step that we all thought maybe they've got in them. Yeah, there's a few. We're actually going to do this again. If you guys were on the live last year, I absolutely nailed the top 8 at insane value before the season. Obviously, if you can predict the whole top 8, there's always some really good value there. So we're going to do that. I've been actually checking the AFL app. I love using that ladder predictor. It saves you having to write it all down and shit. So I've been waiting for that to open up so I can leverage that ladder predictor and sort of go through, and it'll work out sort of how many games each team will win and sort of where that's going to leave them sitting by the end of the year. And then we'll do a big live around that. I'll sort of share what I come up with and what I could maybe, we'll see if we can't work out the sort of top 4, top 8, top 10. There'll be some over unders too, in terms of teams to win more or less than whatever line they set. Like I think Melbourne's, was it like 8.5 or something like that. So yeah, we'll do a live specifically all around that. This is all the fun stuff we're sort of now starting to build up towards, now that the footy season's really coming and some of these markets are starting to open up. So uh, yeah, it's a fun time of year. Like I said, especially if you had the season we did with the American sports, specifically around the NFL. It's left us in a really good position now to attack the footy right from day one. So um, how do you think the Dogs, Port, and Hawks do? They haven't really. Hawthorn was just one I was just thinking off the top of my head too, of like, oh, have they really improved? I think they're one of those teams that have probably got enough talent within their list. If just say if you can get a little bit more out of maybe Watson and Ginnivan, Connor McDonald, like I think they've got some real top end talent already there on their list. And I just think if they can get an extra 5% growth out of each individual player, I think they're maybe one of those unique teams that have built a list the right way where you're just going to get natural growth every year. Or whether that's just another year with Sam Mitchell in charge there as well, working on their game plan. If you think about guys, coaches like Chris Scott or some at Geelong and how long they've sort of been there. So I think Hawthorn's got enough talent there. I think they obviously went out and isolated. They probably need one more top shelf midfielder, which Zach Merritt would have been a big difference maker in that team. But I think Ward's going to be in for a really good year. I really like him as a player. I think his inside game looks like it's gotten a lot stronger from what I saw the other night. Anyway, he was a real standout for me. Probably clearly the best for me. Just looks a bit stronger on the inside of the contest. Really good runner on the outside. Uses the ball well. Links up in transition. So Impey was really good off half back. Yeah, they're obviously sort of stacked. When Joshy Battle comes back with Sicily down there, Barras, I mean, that's a good a backline as you can really ask for. Hardwick as well. These guys that just played All Australian. State of Origin. Obviously some All Australian too. So yeah, I still think they can be really good for quite a while. I just think they're probably going to get natural growth. I'm just not sure who the guys would be at Geelong. Like I said, I could probably name those names that I reeled off at Hawthorn. I'm just not sure who those guys are at Geelong who can maybe keep taking these steps each year. It might have to be a Brian Myers or some of these types to maybe go in the midfield a little bit more and keep improving each year. But Gold Coast one locked. Yeah, they're right there for me. Them or Brisbane is my top two already without even having to look at any of the fixtures. Port for me is an absolute bottom. Like people were laughing last year when we did that top 8 thing. They're like, this guy's got no idea. He doesn't even rate Port. He doesn't have Port in his top 8. Yeah, I think they get far worse. That was why I was big on Sydney dropping last year as well. I think a lot of people overlooked the fact that they just out of nowhere had a new coach come in, and people just thought, oh no, Sydney will be really good. It's like their whole game plan's just shifted in one preseason. A new coach, new philosophies, players had new roles. So yeah, that didn't surprise me too much. And now in saying that, I think Sydney could be one of those teams that could shoot back up the ladder very, very quickly. So Sydney, I'm a bit bullish on this year too, with getting Curnow. I mean, that midfield is unbelievably stacked. Like we said, an extra season now, full preseason with the coach. That game plan and system gets a little bit better. Doggies, Doggies are probably the hardest team to get a read on every year because we always think they're probably going to be really, really good because of the sort of individual talent they have in that team. probably still a bit thin down back, I would say. That was obviously their Achilles heel last year, really, wasn't it? Like, they just got scored on too easy. Like, unbelievable midfield stacked. Darcy and Norton, unbelievable. If they can get Waitman back, Riley West, some of these guys, like I said, that internal growth, like some of these guys that went the next step, Frazier, some of these guys, they've kind of got the names there too, where they're just getting better each year. Some of these younger guys, but yeah, I don't know. Have they worked on their defense? Can they stop teams scoring so easily on them? They really rely on themselves to kick huge scores, and um, it's just not sustainable, really, the way they play. So, um, yeah, they could be there or thereabouts. It wouldn't surprise me if they win almost the same sort of games. Maybe one more or one less or something around there. Um, the Saints are going to be the interesting one for me. I mean, they've made so many changes. Um, if they can get that right, I think they've filled a lot of holes. Just getting that extra forward in with King always being injured. That's Marshall or TDK at times as well down there. If they can finally get a full season into Philippou, I think he's going to be a really good player. I think Flanders is a really good player too. He just obviously got squeezed out of that Gold Coast side, but he could come in and have nearly 30 plus every week in that St Kilda team and just never get tagged. He'll run around loose. Obviously, Nazire is arguably one of the best players right now in the whole competition. Sinclair off halfback. I think Silvani's going to be huge for them. I think that's a weakness. They relied so much on Cal Wilkie, who was really good all season. So I think they're a team that's gone out and got exactly what they needed and some like really good players in good roles too. So, and they're probably another one. I think they've got enough players for that natural sort of growth as well, that can probably take the next step. Maybe some of those young guys. We saw Windhager probably do it a little bit this year. There was a couple. I'm trying to think who it was now. They had a couple sort of up forward as well, sort of take that next step. So they could be one to watch this year, the Saints, especially now that there's a top 10. Couple of games tomorrow to watch. Yeah, I'm pumped for that, bro. Whether we come on here tomorrow after that, like I said, it's a bit hard and trying to get all the stats and stuff. I wish I had all the disposals and shit and we could go through all this properly, but albeit a little bit limited. It's more just for Supercoach really for me at the moment. So, but look, I might do maybe some NBA tomorrow because we'll probably have a little bit of fun on the NBA on Friday. So we might do that tomorrow night. And then by all means, we can talk some footy if you guys want as well. If you miss it, I'll probably catch big chunks of it anyway. So feel free to talk some footy on here as well. We can go through some Supercoach stuff or whatever. You gonna watch the Crows game? Yeah, is that one of the tomorrow ones? I'll be watching. I'll be watching every game. He has a similar profile to Holmes, and he's always an inside runner. Yes, correct. Do you think Crows win a flag soon? I've been really big on them. I think last year was the one I had them in my top 4, or I think I actually said top 6, but I had them right up there. Which probably a lot of people didn't agree with last year either. I was actually quite bullish on them the season before. They were probably one of those ones where I sort of saw those players just getting better and better each year, whether it was like Rankin going into the midfield, taking that next step. I think Rochelle could be one of them this year that maybe finally we see the best of him. I think their backline was really, really coming along. I think Keane's out injured. I'm not sure how bad that injury was, but that's going to hurt them a bit. I think Worrell's a really good player. Forward line obviously stacked with Phil Thorpe and Tex and Fogarty and like we said, whether it was Rankin and Rochelle, Ben Keys who become a really, really good player. Just their midfield for me is their worry. It has been for a long time, I think. If you think back sort of when they had like the Crouch brothers or then Matt Crouch, they've always just been a bit one-paced. Probably why they let these guys like Schomburg and these types go. They don't really have that, I guess, that X factor, which is why I think we needed to see Rankin in there more. I think they really didn't use him that well either. There was games where we were on him a lot for disposals at really good value too, even at just sort of, 13, 14 of that 15 mark. he had games where in a half, the first half, I think he had like one or two disposals, and then they finally threw him in there maybe in the last quarter, and he came out and had like 9 or 10 in the last quarter, and sort of, you just sort of think, why are they not putting him in there more? So whether it was his fitness or I don't know what it was, but yeah, I think that demographic in the midfield just has to change. They're just a bit one pace, and I think Jordan Dawson can get tagged out of the games a little bit, and then what they do is sort of tend to throw him as a forward because he's such a good player. So, yeah, I'm not sure where I sit on Adelaide just yet. I think Curtin was the other one who's injured, and Keane, two really good key players for them as well. So that might hurt him a little bit. So, um, Saints finish around 11th. Oof. Don't let any Saints fan. That would break their hearts. Hey, buddy. What's up, guys? Sorry, I can see some people coming through from... I'm also a streamer. Let me collaborate together. I won't be able to do that at the moment, so bro, but I appreciate the comment and jumping on. Feel free to just follow along. We've got about 6 or 7 different streams going at the moment, so... Saints finish around 11th. I think they can make the top 10. I'll have to have a look through the fixture and stuff too. I'm sure they probably haven't got the toughest draw. Yeah, I think they can finish in the top 10 just off the top of my head. Just like I said, I think they've had the players there. I think they've got the system too. Like the game style they play, they're well coached. I think they were just one of those sides that were probably missing a couple of pieces, and probably one of the better off seasons probably any club's had really for a while. I mean, I think Brisbane had an awesome preseason this year, just slotting Oscar Allen and Sam Draper in, filling two massive holes that they probably needed to fill, if any, being the premiers. But probably one of the best off seasons, really. I think getting TDK, albeit they had to spend some money, but I think from what they said, they've been sort of holding money back the last 3, 4, 5 seasons, whatever it is, and accumulating this. And they basically had no choice. They had to burn all that cash this year, or they would have lost it anyway, the way the system works. So I think it's really smart management. I think they probably knew they were a few players short for the last few years, and they're like, hey, we had a plan to finish near the bottom, do the best we can with the list we've got. Let's try and get some games into our young kids. Let's keep going back to the draft. Let's get more and more top-end talent in. And then we'll save our money in 3 or 4 years' time. We'll have a war chest to go out and attract some good players. So I think this sort of just shifted the whole club too, as you hear like destination clubs. St Kilda just always seemed to be trying to get big names and just no one wanting to go there. But now this year, I just think it's sort of changed. And then now you can start pitching it to players. Yeah, we've got Nazire in our team. We've got TDK for the next, 10 years or whatever they got him. And, you can sort of start to sell the club a little bit. So if they can sort of get in that finals, even if it's the top 10, they probably get even stronger next year. So, yeah, I really like what the Saints did. I know a lot of my mates who go for the Saints were sort of pretty happy that they finally, made something happen in the off season. Which I think my team Melbourne's probably in that same sort of boat now, freeing up some cash with Oliver and Petrarca. Probably finish down the bottom, probably the next few seasons, I would have thought, before Tassie come in, get some more high end draft picks come in. I think we've got some really good talent on our list as well. So I'm pretty happy too that we've sort of taken the approach we have, because you definitely don't want to be down the bottom when Tasmania come in and compromise the draft for the next decade. So keep throwing questions at me, guys, if you got any. Just happy to get on here in this sort of live to go smooth tonight. Now we've sort of got this worked out. I'm just going to make this really enjoyable going forward. That we can sort of fit more stuff on here now as well and really share a bunch of stuff. Like I said, especially once we've actually got some games we can be targeting and making some money off too, which is always nice. Who are some players you're looking out for tomorrow? Ooh, that's a good point. Petrarca will be one. I've got him in my super coach side at the moment. I think he'll probably be a lock there, especially just I think with Rao being out, even if it's the first few weeks, they're making it sound like. So, um, yeah, I think that maybe just helps him a little bit to get thrown straight in there. He'll be one. Jamara will be one. I'll be watching closely too. I just hope he gets back to playing some good footy. I actually know some guys that know him really, really well. And by all reports, he's a absolute legend of a guy. So I'll be happy to sort of see him do really well after everything he's been through. And I just think, yeah, they could be. I think King's probably a bit of a smoky for me to win the Coleman. We saw what he did in State of Origin too, which I sort of kicked myself. I think for you guys that were on here, I said maybe that he was where the value was to kick multiples with all the tension going to Darcy. I mean, he did absolutely that. So he could easily win the Coleman this year. I think if Gold Coast is right at the top of the ladder, he's going to get so many looks inside 50. He's going to draw a lot of attention too. So Jamara might get, some really good looks that he hasn't had too. And yeah, he'll be one for sure. Zeke Yulin probably too, coming in as a rookie, obviously very well hyped, top end draft pick. He'll be one to watch for Super Coach. Yeah, so there'll be a few. Yeah, Zeke Yulin. Yeah. Kerno will be one in the Sydney game. Yeah, so there'll be a few. Like I said, it's probably not too much to take from it, other than maybe Super Coach. We at least get a little bit of a feel for where players are at, whether that's they're coming back from injury or what sort of role they're playing. Albeit these match sims, but I mean, it makes no sense to play a player out of position now at this time of the year when you're, a week away from a full practice game and then you're into the season. So that was my sort of worry tonight with Coleman and Reedy. That is, Reedy's the backup there. And Kitty Coleman's going to be as a half forward this year. Like I said, I'd be sort of shocked if they just throw the magnets around and change positions completely 2 weeks out from the season. So Mateus, yeah, that's definitely one too. Sorry, I was trying to think. I keep trying to bloody think who's actually playing again tomorrow. Yeah, Mateus Philippou will be one for sure. I mean, Flanders. I'll be excited to sort of watch TDK and how he goes as well. He's maybe another one that you could throw in that ruck mix. Just to maybe see how he goes. And maybe what that split is with Rowan Marshall. So that'll be something else to look out for. Just other little things too. I'll be just looking for, is it the same person taking the kick-in duties and stuff as well? Just information we can really leverage coming into when the market's fully open. I'll want to be across of which players are maybe going to the next level, whereas maybe they were averaging, 12 or 13 disposals last year. All of a sudden they're in the, 17, 18, 19 plus bracket because maybe now they're taking the kick-ins. Whether that's like a Todd Marshall or someone at Port, you might get some insane value on him maybe to start in his first game to maybe get 15 plus disposals or something, if you can understand that he's likely to take some kick-ins, this is where you can find some really good value early in the season. So I'll be watching for all that sort of stuff as well as Super Coach. So like I said, it keeps these games a little bit more interesting for me because they're a bit of a tough watch at times when their players don't really care and they're just sort of going through the motions. And you've got a bunch of young guys out there that you got real no interest in because they're not going to play all season. So, Dry Sarong for Sydney, that's another good one too, bro. Yeah, I was trying to think of who else that I'm considering for Supercoach. I think he's probably in, I don't know what percent, but a high percent of at least on the bench. Yeah, Richmond's going to be one I'm really looking forward to. I haven't really got to see too much of these young kids yet that they keep really hyping up. Um, so I'm keen to get a look at them. Layla's like one that I would like to get in my forward line too. I'd love to see what his split's going to be like a midfield time this year. That Cumming, that Grill as well. How Gibcus goes coming back from injury. So there's a few teams I'm looking forward to watching. Even, I mean, you could even throw Heaney and Goulden in that mix now too. Like with Charlie Curnow coming in, does that mean Isaac Heaney's just a full blown midfielder this year, and maybe his numbers can maybe go to another level? That he gets maybe more centre bounces. I mean, he's good when he goes forward and kick goals, but you can also drift out of the game a little bit playing deep forward, where you might only have 2 or 3 disposals in a quarter, rather than actual midfield numbers. So yeah, I would love to see that more from Sydney. Heaney, Goulden, Warner at the same centre bounce. We just don't see it enough, I don't think. You see too many with Rowbottom and James Jordan and Sheldrick and these type of guys. I think that's where they've missed the trick a little bit. And Chad Warner just sitting at half forward for quarters on end, just really not in the game. So yeah, I'll be looking out for a few like that too, whether it's Heaney and maybe Goulden too, as some of these potential premiums, a bit like I was tonight with Huey McCluggage. Hayden, what's up, brother? What's up? Fucking ads, bro. Yeah, I think they're pretty much the ones we've already covered. Trying to think who else. Melbourne will be one, obviously. I think that's actually Friday. I'll probably be at that game, so. Oh, live restrict, live restricted for some audiences. Your live contains themes that some may find uncomfortable and has been restricted. That was strange. Restricted due to alcohol. Makes no sense. Anyway. Sorry guys, that was just a little pop-up from TikTok. Strange. I think it was the drink. Yeah, it's weird. It's a fucking Coca-Cola vanilla Coke. That crazy. Maybe I'll have to like just so they see. I'll probably got to get off soon anyway, but it's good to finally get this sort of set up right. I was pulling my hair out earlier trying to work out. I thought it was my new computer or one of the ports was wrong or something was cooked. Turns out it was just literally the fucking volume thing here on my microphone was just turned up way too high. That it was like maxing out and like flickering. They must think it was beer or something. Yeah, I don't know. It must have. It's kind of why I wanted to get this set up the way that I've got it now too, because it just helps to start streaming on some of these other like streaming services and that as well. So if you ever have like issues with one, we can just be like, hey guys, we're going to be over on this channel if you want to get on or whatever, whether that's a lot through like YouTube, but now this is obviously on like our Facebook, which we can plug into as well. Even like Twitter, like might be a good place to do it as well, because there pretty much is no filters on Twitter, which will be fun. So Yeah, we've got more options, which is good. Especially obviously when we're discussing like actual plays and stuff within the season. You're kind of living in the grey area on here, so it'll be nice to be able to play that card if we want to just like go over to YouTube or whatever. Well, like I said, right now we're just streaming across all of them. So if even if we're having issues with one, people can just jump off and jump straight on the other one, and our live will just continue. So. Did you see the rumors that Durant was talking shit? Oh, I did, and they reckon it's not the first time it's happened. Apparently, he's been caught with these fucking burner accounts before. So, um, yeah, if it's true, it's crazy because it was specifically about Şengün and a couple of his teammates. Like, how dumb can you get? I mean, it's the day and age we live in. Like I said, in with NBA players and that, like to be making hundreds of millions, and yet they're still doing this dumb, childish stuff like on Twitter and stuff like as professional athletes. Like, yeah, it's kind of crazy. But like I said, that's sort of NBA in a nutshell. Like, imagine doing that in a locker room of like a footy team. That's the sort of stuff that just derails the whole season. Um, like players going into work, sort of tiptoeing around, walking on eggshells of or trying to avoid other people, and then it kind of filters through the whole group, and certain people start picking certain sides of whose side you want to be on, and then that offends people if you're not on their side, and then it's like, yeah, it's classic NBA. But it must have been some pretty. I haven't seen exactly what the stuff was, but it sounded like it was pretty directed at specific players too, and basically how crap they are, and they're the reason why they're losing, and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, not ideal, especially from KD. Let's be honest. Like most places he goes, they get worse, and then he ends up leaving. Apart from sort of Golden State, where he just walked into what was already an unbelievable side. But it's not like he really ever goes anywhere and leads a team to championships. Like he's just a bit of a nothing player these days. KD, you can't even really rely on him to get 15 points a game these days. So yeah, he would want to be a bit careful. It's not like he's been setting the world on fire. So um, what do you think about the NBA here? I'm not sure what you mean by the NBA here, bro. You might have to. What do you think about the NBA here? But yeah, you might have caught that last bit. Like I said, I'm not really love basketball. Just not so much the NBA. There's just so much stuff about it I don't like. So that's sort of part of it, or just I mean the refs and the way the players carry on and the schedules. It's just all about money. It's not even really that great to watch anymore. Like I said, even when they do an All Star game where you got the best of the best out there, no one really cares. They don't really try. They don't care. It just doesn't really feel like you're watching professional athletes a lot of the time, to be honest. A lot of them are just taking the piss because they're just there to get paid, and that's it. So, oh, I mean, when teams come and play. Ah, okay, gotcha. Yeah, I was trying to work out here. I don't know. Does it get that much hype in that? Like, I don't know. Does anyone really care these days? I think the NFL. I think more Aussies will adopt NFL. I think once it comes here. Um, so yeah, which is why I'm sort of keen to get back to America and spend some time there as well. Sort of go even more all in on the NFL, as we had. I mean, we had such a good group through the season too, and we sort of killed it right through start to finish. Obviously, there's a couple of sort of tough weeks mixed in there, as there always sort of is on anything. But um, yeah, I'm sort of keen to get more involved in that and do more of these sort of lives from over in America and really bring the American audience into my sort of algorithm as well. So I think, yeah, especially like footy fans and that too, I think they will just thrive on the NFL and the contact. And once you see these guys up close, the type of athletes these guys are, they don't flop and shit like the NBA. These guys are playing through broken legs and broken ribs and fucking tendons missing in their knees, all kinds of shit. Like, um, so they're athletes I enjoy watching. Where you're like, these guys deserve top dollar. You see some of these NBA guys who just rock up stoned and yet they're still getting paid millions of dollars, and they just couldn't care less. So, last game I had Brunson for 18 and he got 6 points. Yeah, that's it too, man. And you're talking about one of the like probably one of the biggest ball hogs in the league. Like he's like, and but now we know why it happens because players bet on themselves to go unders and they full blown fucking cheat. It's like it's not even a controversy anymore. It's just the truth. It's just facts. Players do it. It's like, yeah, how can you go from like so many players who go from like 30, 30, 30, and they'll literally score like 5 or 6. It's not like they drop off slightly, and then it's just like, yeah, how do you just only put up 6 shots in one game when you're like the team's main scorer who puts up the most amount of shots every week, and then you only throw up 6 in one game? Like, that is just super suspicious. You can't go from, say, putting up, say 15 shots a game to then all of a sudden 6. Like, especially, like, this is why I say it's so unpredictable, because it's not like you see. Like, imagine like a midfielder in AFL doing that. It's like everyone has their specific roles, or you know, like some guys can have a bit of an off day where they're obviously slightly down or whatever. But like midfielders don't go from like say 30 disposals down to like 6. Do you know what I mean? Like that's just insanely suspicious, especially if they're playing like a full game. So, um, yeah, it's kind of what you expect, and like I said, a lot of the time you'll do nothing wrong. You're making the right picks of the best scorers. They take the most shots. Blah blah blah. You get everything right, and then the best scorer who takes the most shots just decides not to one game because maybe they were a bit stoned or hungover or whatever it is. So that is the NBA. It's why I say to people a lot too, we have like a bit of fun with it. You pull your budget right back. You try and be very strategic. Use your bonuses like where you can to give yourself a second chance. And, you want to just have it as a little bit of fun during the week. There is certain times of the year, like I said, where we crushed it right out of the gate. And we'll look at it again at maybe the playoff time. But it's just not a sustainable way to win at all. So as you guys will hear me talk about a lot, I didn't start this to enable people to just like get on a game for the sake of it just because you're really sort of feeling an addiction. You really want to be trying to win and win a lot, and NBA just doesn't really give you the opportunities to do that consistently. So um, yeah, I think we all know that, right? But I guess that's where a lot of people need to draw the line and probably understand where they sit, whether they're actually doing this to benefit their life or whether they're doing it because they've got an addiction problem and they can't help themselves. So this is stuff we sort of try and help people through and work out where they sit and maybe what their answer is to get better or to maybe get out of that situation. So, but yeah, every day there's a story like that, bro, isn't there? Like whether a guy who's averaging maybe 8 rebounds the last 6 games and has like one, and you just watch him and they don't even go for a rebound. It's like, oh, okay, so he's bet on himself this game. Probably told all his friends and family that he's going unders on this game. It's like, stuff that just doesn't make sense, and now we know why, because they cheat. So, I heard that Steve Kerr said that he would love the Golden State Warriors to play in Melbourne. Yeah, I mean, smart business decision for them, I guess. For especially teenagers or younger kids that maybe don't really have a team. They love basketball, but maybe they don't get to watch much NBA, and then all of a sudden Steph Curry comes out here or whoever it is, all of a sudden you get sort of fans for life on the back of it in a completely different country. So, disappeared again. Gotta stop clicking buttons. Might give it another minute or two, guys. If you got any other questions or any thoughts, like I said, we might jump on and do a little bit of NBA tomorrow, just because there's going to be sort of 2 games. Probably it's all going to be a bit rushed with the footy tomorrow, so I'll probably just actually sit down and enjoy some, take some notes for everything we're doing and some super coach stuff. And then we can probably talk some of it anyway, but we might throw some NBA stuff up on the screen here behind me. I actually had a message today. We might be doing some more NBA stuff. It's actually, I'll have to look at what the name was, but it's actually some sort of paid promotion through Ned's. Want me to help them out and do something, or like with a group of 20 other people or something, build some content around the NBA as a bit of a one-stop shop to do some promoting or something with them. So we'll see how that goes tomorrow, but we might be doing a little bit more of that and involving some NBA stuff as well. So I'll keep everyone posted on that as well. If there's nothing else, guys, I think I'll probably jump off, but appreciate everyone jumping on again. Hopefully, these lives are better for you guys now as well with the visuals. I think this is going to be a lot better way to do it. We can basically just fit more stuff on there, which is always good. It just helps, obviously, having these discussions when I can share more stuff on the background. It just helps when people are coming in every 5 seconds, when you get new people come through. It's just a really easy way for us to help explain stuff to people. So we'll be filling up this background now as much as we can with stuff. Whether that's new things we're introducing into our group as well and how people can get involved and all that stuff. So we'll be able to really paint a real story on there each night. Like I said, whether that is AFL, NRL, Supercoach, NBA, when it's the NFL again. I heard you was sponsored. Is that true? No, definitely not. I don't think I would ever be. I don't know what that would even look like, to be honest. But no, this was the first message I got about something like this, and I don't think it's. I think this will just be, from what I gathered, they were reaching out to, I think it was maybe 10 or 20 people that sort of do this stuff, and I think they just wanted some people building some content around the NBA, and then we sort of all sort of share it through one sort of funnel and sort of leverage each other's pages or whatever, and I think it just helps push the word out there a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. I was supposed to speak to someone tomorrow, but I don't really, until something actually happens too, because you never really know the stuff you see these days on the internet and stuff too. It's the half the battle is trying to find out if they're authentic or they're real, or you know what I mean. So this is why I do most stuff by myself. But like promotion ads and that. Nah, none of that, bro. I've never done any of that. I mean, I would for sure. It's obviously what I do and what I enjoy, but nah, you would have seen it otherwise, bro. You probably, I can't ever really think that I've ever really advertised any of them. Really, I think most of the time we're really trying to find ways. I'm trying to find ways to help you guys take money from them, so probably the opposite, really. I'm really trying to advise you guys to be a little bit smarter and safer and a bit more strategic to help you guys win, which is bad for them. But what made you such a great punter? Sorry. Um, I think it's really. I say anyone can do. It's obviously not. It's a mentality thing. You probably hear me talk about this a lot. It's why there's a big difference in the world, right? Where there can be $1 million entrepreneurs that can be juggling 5 or 6 different businesses, and then there's guys who can somehow lose a job at McDonald's or can't hold a job. You know what I mean? Can't do anything. So it really is a mentality thing. We've all got the same information out there. Um, like we talk about on here a lot. A lot of you guys that listen have probably played footy or follow it like I do. Like, you guys are probably very, very smart when it comes to sport. For whatever strange reason, especially in Australia, as soon as people start like getting involved in this, like all common sense goes out the window. It's like they know what the safe, smart picks are, and then that little voice in their head says, "Nah, throw in an extra leg, or it's not paying enough. Like, do this," and then you end up losing, and then all these bad habits. So it's like I'm really not sure what it is. I think for me, it is really a mental thing. If you understand how to make money, you're good at investing. You run companies. Basically, if you're good at business and understand how to make money, you can go and do it anywhere. It's the same thing of people that can be good at crypto. Some people can be billionaires from crypto. Other people will lose everything because they get greedy. They maybe chase these dumb coins because they saw something on the internet. You know what I mean? They're just not smart. They don't understand what it takes to make money. They're looking for shortcuts. It's exactly the same in this, or whether it's real estate, whatever it is. People find these sort of gold nuggets in the property market, make a killing, and other people just can't find a way to have success. It really is just a mentality thing. Um, and like I said, Australia is probably, I think, right up there with some of the worst in the world in terms of how much people lose. So, um, like I say a lot, you got to just. I think this is a great way when it's tax free to just make your life that little bit better. Just even if you're making an extra couple of $100 a week from this, doing it really smart and safe, then by the end of the season, you've saved up, 10 grand, and then you can go on a holiday that maybe you never thought you'd ever be able to do in your life. And then all of a sudden you're like, wow, like if I start being a little bit more serious about this, like how many other ways can you make money from sitting on the couch and it's tax free? But yet, like I said, some people will just always find a way to lose in this, and then they see it as like a real negative and that no one else can ever win just because they can't sort of wrap their mind around it that people can actually be good at it. It's like, how's it should be very easy for some people. If you can sit down and go, this guy will get 20 disposals, he'll get 20, and this guy should get 15, and then for whatever reason you throw another 3 on top of it, it's like if you just went with what you actually trusted and then you knew was safe, you would win a lot. But it's really that mentality thing. So um heaps and can't win. Well, bro. So what you should be doing. So like this is the thing too, right? Like I do a lot of coaching and stuff with other businesses and stuff too. So I enjoy having these chats. But you've got to ask yourself, like, if you know you're doing something wrong and you're losing, why aren't you trying to get better? Like, why aren't you trying to improve yourself? Like, you should be looking at what you're currently doing and why you're currently losing, and fucking start doing the opposite, or at least changing something. You know what I mean? At least change things so you're getting slightly better. Like, if you're missing by one leg, the answer's obvious. If you're doing fucking 8 leg multis and you're missing by one, fuck, cut it down to 5 or 6 and you'll probably win every single week. So the answers are, like I said, right there in front of people. It's a mindset thing. So, it's just something that's so easily accepted in Australia. oh yeah, had a bit of fun, had a bit of a punt, lost like $400, but whatever, got a bit unlucky, and then you do it again and again and again, and then you just kind of expect to lose, and it just kind of gets, that just becomes like a habit. And then this is where people get in this narrative of like, oh, anyone that wins is a liar, or just because I lose all the time, there's no way that anyone can win at this, and the house always wins, and blah blah blah. It's like you're just getting too greedy a lot of the time. Most people are. Like I can see it in a lot of even the comments and stuff that I see. People will be like, "Oh yeah, anyone can hit something paying $1.80 odds or $2." It's like, well, why don't you? It's like people will call you stupid for getting easy, safe winners and making a ton of money because it's not risky enough and it's not fun enough and it's not cool enough. It's like, yeah, cool. Like, what are you trying to do? Like, show off and look cool to people, or are you trying to make tax-free money that can improve your life? It's like like I say to a lot of people, you got to understand and work out where you sit in it. So you know that you're not good at it. You know that you're losing a lot, and the question is, what are you going to do about it? And this is why I like having these discussions. So, um, yeah, because sometimes it's people just need to hear that, or they haven't had these discussions. So, like I said, that's the goal here of trying to get people just to think about it a little bit smarter and not focus on hitting these crazy multis and that because they look cool and it's fun to show off to everyone. It's like no one cares. You're either winning or you're losing, plain and simple. So trust me, sport's a lot more enjoyable. When you're winning and you can travel the world and do all these amazing things on the back of it. That's sort of the real flex, not that guy who hits a 30 leg multi once a year and then makes out like he's the world's best punter because he hit a 30 leg. It's like, oh, if you're losing every other day in between trying to chase that, it becomes very obvious. So, yeah, like I say to especially a lot of young people, like younger guys that are probably using their money that they're on like an apprentice wage or something. It's like, imagine what you could do with just an extra couple of hundred a week and just put it aside. Maybe that means you don't have to work Saturdays anymore. Now you can sit at home with your missus or your family or your mates at home and watch the footy and make an extra $200-300 a week tax free. And then all of a sudden you never have to work Saturdays again. Like, doesn't that sound a lot more fun than going to work all day on a Saturday for a couple of $100 that you get taxed on anyway? But like I said, for whatever reason, there always probably will be, especially in Australia, this really bad stigma around it. Um, and like I said, some people are smart, understand how to make money, and can run businesses. Other people just get greedy and they have a huge ego and they lose. It's it's what it is. So, like I say a lot, you got to probably work out where you sit and what you want from it. Because a lot of people go, oh yeah, but I just do it for a bit of fun. It's like, well, how's throwing money down the toilet fun? Making other people rich. I'm not sure that was my joy of fun. So, so yeah. Hopefully that helps, man. Um, um, get on the soccer. Yeah, I mean, I don't really need to, bro, to be honest. Like, I mean, you guys would have seen how well we do on just the NFL and AFL alone, and then we just have a bit of fun of mixing some other stuff in on top of it. So, um, yeah, I mean, it'll be something I'll be always open to. But like I said, if you've got two sports that you love, they're the favorite to watch, you think they're two of the most consistent in the world, we don't really need to do too much else. There's this kind of time right now when there's no NBA on for the week. Nothing really just yet at the AFL, but we're only like next week? We're only 4 days away or whatever it is to getting some real markets opening up. We'll start doing some future stuff, and this is why we're sort of mixing in fantasy and stuff as well, and even trying to encourage people in our group. Hey, like even start taking that more seriously. Like we're giving away thousands and thousands in dollars of prizes this year for the winners of our tipping comps and fantasy comps. So like if you're already good at super coach or whatever, like why not take it a little bit more serious? Yeah, because like I said, all this stuff is a lot more fun when you're doing well from it. Otherwise, as we know, it can be a very, very slippery slope and a dangerous place for a lot of people. It's really their mindset. At the end of the day, some people mindset is too weak Like I said, they quit when things get tough and they get emotional, or they do all these sort of negative things. If they were to just sort of sit back and enjoy sort of the process, treat it like a business, have their budgets in place, and do these steps that you really need to be doing to have success. Um, this is why some people absolutely kill it, and then other people will just never will. So it's got to work out where you want to sit on what side of that. So um, need some bunting wins to relocate to Bangkok with my cat. There you go, bro. You got to ask yourself, why are you not winning more right now? And I bet you it's the same. I could probably tell you what the answer is. You probably know what the answer is. So it can only really be a few things. Either you're betting on a sport you don't know well enough that you can't find winners, or like I said, sometimes it's just the NBA. You could know it inside out and you just still find a way to lose at times because you just can't help it on that sport. So, yeah, you have to look at what you're actually doing it on, what sport or whatever it is. Do you first know enough about that? Can you start learning more about that specific sport to get better at it? Should you start probably doing one, if you're doing multis, one less leg than you already are? It's probably a good place to start. Instead of maybe doing 10 every week or whatever, maybe peel that back to like 3 and just really focus on trying to get 3 really good ones that you really trust. The answers are very obvious. So, I obviously see it a lot. People like, oh, how did you get set up in Dubai? I'd love to do that one day. I'd love to do this. And then I'll help them through the process. And, oh, I don't know. I don't really have the time. That's a bit hard. I go, okay, cool. So you're just lazy. You say stuff, but you don't really mean it. You want a really good life, but you're actually not willing to do anything about it. So, yeah, like I said, it's pretty clear for me. There's just separate sort of mindsets and people in life, People actually really want to achieve something and they'll put everything into it. And then there's other people that will say they want stuff, but their actions will never meet that, if that makes sense. So, like I said, this is what we give people the opportunity to do. You guys would have seen, I'm not sure if he's in here tonight, but we obviously get people coming through from our group. When one of the guys is in here saying that he cleared over 50K last year, like that's changing people's lives. And like without doing anything crazy, they're literally just like taking a step back, taking their ego out aside of it, and just said, "Hey, I'm just going to follow along. I'm going to trust the process. I'm going to just do this really safe and really smart within a budget. So even if we have a bad week or whatever, it never affects you, because it's within your budget that you can afford, that you've offset for this. Just doing it the right way." Especially, there's people that have done that on NFL and they've barely watched a game all season. They've been at work, so they just copy paste mine, and that's all they do. They pay a small fee to get access to mine, and now they're making a ton of money on the back of it. So, like I said, that's just people understanding that what a good investment is, or a return on investment, and seeing it for what it is. So, yeah, I know people that are good at this as well, and they're also running other businesses and really successful in everything they do, really just because they're very smart and switched on. They have a good business mindset. So should see my miso. I'd rather work on a Saturday. Well, I'll spend it with the boys then, mate. Spend it with the boys. Or go like overseas somewhere and fly a different chick out. I'd rather spend it at work. One horse too many. Well, there you go, bro. So that's the thing, right? So it's like we can have this discussion and you can know what the solution is. So next time you're on this live, you should be telling me that you're winning more, because we've sat here now and we've discussed what the problem is. So, like I said, this is simply a mindset thing. You got to ask yourself, if you know what the problem is, you know what the solution is, why aren't you doing it? Once you can figure out that, then you'll change your life for the better. So if it's as simple as that, then literally start doing that. Who cares if it's like $1.50 or $1.60, whatever it is? Just focus on getting a win, and then another one, and then another one. Then you're like, oh, even $1.50, you're like, oh, it doesn't seem like that great. But now I've hit three in a row. So then you've got 50% ROR, another 50%, another 50%. All of a sudden, that's 150% you've done. And then you're like, wow, that was actually really easy. I didn't even take many risks at all. I was actually really safe and smart. I didn't even think of that. If I can actually win at a high percent where I can stack two, three, four together, even if they're smaller wins, they actually accumulate into bigger wins long term. And then you're like, oh, so this is how people actually invest money and make money. This is actually what they do. They take less risks. They think it through. They be smart and they be patient, and then they stack these wins, which end up becoming massive, massive wins by the end of the season. You know what I mean? It's not like you have to reinvent the wheel in this. It's just basic sort of logic and I guess business. Um, Lad, she's pushing 120 gigs. That might be on you too, bro. You got to get her out of the house more then and go for a run or something. Why don't you leave? Yeah, I'm guessing you're sort of joking too. I don't know how to take it. I'm guessing you're probably joking a bit, but definitely on him. Yeah, exactly, bro. There's no way I'm having a missus. It's 120 kilos. I can tell you right now. I'm sure there's a bit of tongue in cheek in that as well. Otherwise, I wouldn't be saying shit about someone's partner. But just touching on the same mindset thing though too, it's like a big part of it's who you spend time with and you're hanging around too. Like I've been through that when I was younger. Like if you're just going to the pub or whatever, drinking on the weekend, and you're just all chucking in some money, having a bit of fun on the horses or even the animated ones or greyhounds, whatever it is that you know nothing about. You're all just like, yeah, fucking you pick numbers the next five, and then I'll have a guess, and you're picking because of the color or the jockey's name or the horse's name. You kind of just accept you're losing. It's like if you're hanging around people that have that mindset, you're always going to fall into that same category with them. And when you start saying, hey, oh, no, I don't want to put in, like, I'm actually betting a bit safer and smarter. I don't think this is a good investment for me. And then they'll basically tell you to shut up and that you're boring and just have some fun, lighten up. You start realizing, like, oh, okay, I've just outgrown these people now. Like, I actually want more out of life, and these people just don't get it. Like, yeah, that was cool when we were 18. It's not cool when you're in your 30s, you know? And this is when you start sort of outgrowing people, and then you hit that other stage again of like, where do you want to be? So, like I say to a lot of people, where do you want to be with doing this? Do you want to be someone that has success with it and just earns extra free money a weekend, tax free? Or do you just want to be another guy who's fucking terrible, who just basically flushes money down the toilet, and then sort of struggles through life? And like when people say, like, oh, I'd love to come to Dubai with you or do this or do that. I'm like, well, you can, but what your actions are telling me, you don't really want to. If you really wanted to go to Dubai, you wouldn't be doing these stupid bets. You would be taking it seriously. You'd be trying to bank more money, and then you can go and do these things in life. So, um, yeah, like I said, I'm sure there's a bit of fun in these as well. Uh, the shortest horse was the one that got rolled. Well, that sort of stuff you probably can't do too much about. But like you said, yeah, maybe that's the trick. Maybe I don't know, with horse racing, maybe is it not really great for multis? And a lot of people say you should only do one single bet. It's the safest, smartest way. It's like I don't necessarily see it that way. Like what we did with NFL, it's like we can tick off four or five legs in the first quarter. When most people are still sitting waiting for one leg to be ticked off at the end of the game, you know? So um, you've really just got to sit down and just tell yourself, what is the safest, smartest way I can make some profit today? Stop thinking about how cool it's going to look when you show people and who you tell and all that shit. Like I said, even if you make a 50% return on investment, you know, where like anywhere where you go just put in $1,000 and say I'll be back in 2 hours, and then they give you $500 profit on top, you'd be like, fuck yeah, like how cool is this? Even crypto and stocks and stuff, you won't get anywhere near a 50% return on investment in 2 hours. Like this is how insane $1.50 odds are. If you really think about it through a business and investment sort of lens, which I'm doing a lot of at the moment, the people that I speak to, like, yeah, they're sort of blown away. This is why now more of them are getting into it. So they're like, wait, what? You can get like, or even $2 odds. You're obviously getting your like 100% return on that investment, and it's in 2 hours. And how hard is it to find $2 odds? And then they're like, and it's tax free. It's like, yeah. It's like what? Like, do you know what I mean? It sort of opens people's eyes. So when you just really break it down and look through it at that lens, if even just a 50% return on investment, 60% return on investment in a couple of hours, and you can make, say, more than most people make going to work for a full week. You know what I mean? Put down a few grand to even win one and a half back in 2 hours, tax free. And most people have been slaving their ass off all week to make $1,500 in Australia. Like this is realistically what you can be able to achieve, but most people can't because of their mindset. It's really the deciding factor in a lot of it. And then, like I said, it's the people that you're around too. Like, so you all of a sudden you go into a group like mine where you got hundreds of other like-minded people that are like there for a reason because they want to get better. They're trying to win more. They're trying to get rid of bad habits. You start putting yourself in circle of that. You don't want to be the guy when there's 100 people celebrating. Fuck yeah, we killed it today. How good's that? And you don't want to be that one guy who's upset because you threw in one extra leg because you got greedy. You only do that. People only do that so many times in our group, and then they start going, "Fuck, you know what? I'm just going to actually start following along with everything else because everyone keeps winning and I keep losing. I've worked out that I am the problem. What I'm doing, if I was to just change and just follow along and follow the process, what everyone's doing, then I can actually start winning just like they are. And then all of a sudden, you've turned a bad habit into a good habit. You're around like-minded people, and then it all of a sudden it starts becoming fun. So like I said, a lot of people know what the problem is. They also know what the solution is, and yet nothing ever changes. So, um, long-term investment. You talk more than my missos eats. Fun fact for you, bro. This is what a live is. You know, you guys tune in to hear me speak. I mean, that's what it is, bro. So I don't know what you expect coming to a live, but yes, I do have to communicate to so you guys would ask me questions or I do have to answer questions. This is how conversations work, bro. So yes, I do talk a lot because I'm on a live where communication is key. So so yes, you are correct, my friend. Yes. Um a lot of people would have gone two-legger on Tetris and Autumn Glow and cleaned up pretty. There you go, bro. So maybe try that next time. Um, just keep trying things until you find until you find that solution. Like for me, it's just I don't know anything about horses, so I just don't go anywhere near it. I don't advise anyone on it because I've got no fucking clue. I don't waste time and energy on it. I focus on things that I'm good at, whether that's other businesses or so much shit I'm doing right now. But literally, I'll take the same mindset as in when I had an investor meeting yesterday or sitting in a board meeting, building $1 million app at the moment. Like, it's like I have the same mindset of doing this, whether it's at a business meeting or doing this. It's the same approach I take because I'm really just trying to leverage it to improve my life. This is why I do this to have success at it and try and help other people have success at it too. So. What's your thoughts on looking promos? I'm gonna try and steer away from some specifics too, guys. As you know, it's a bit of a touchy subject on specific platforms too, so we don't want to go too deep into that side of things. We try and keep it more about sports, but this is stuff we discuss with in our group chat all the time. What's your thoughts on bookie promos? Do you take advantage of them? Yes. I mean, I could be a lot better in that. But that's really based on our other results. I always use them for a little bit of fun because we've been having so much success, whether that's on the AFL and NFL specifically. When we get some bonus bets, that's sort of our opportunity to not go like too crazy, but maybe look for a sort of 3, 4, 5x and just get that little bit of extra value there. Um, it's all just tied in with the other results we've got. That's our sort of little license to have a little bit of fun, maybe on other ones where we'd be really safe and smart. Because you've got to mix it up and keep it fun for everyone too. Some people like to have a little bit of a value play every now and again. Um, so yeah, but I mean, if you're really super smart about it, you would obviously leverage that on say like another pick you've got. So even if it means you make $5 profit, but at least you can flip that and make it some sort of positive outcome or whatever. Um, yeah, I know there's guys that have probably done really well out of literally using them, targeting the promos and making guaranteed money in that. But I just trust my knowledge and what I do that I don't really need to dabble around with these little things of trying to flip them to make $30 and do this and do that. We can just go out and win thousands on a game or two of AFL or NFL easily. Like we've been doing it for 6 years. Um, it's not hard for me to try and find 3 or 4 disposal winners in a game of football. Um, this is probably where a lot of people probably still go wrong too, and like playing on like every single game or whatever it is over the weekend, and maybe doing like 50 on each or whatever, and then they realize shit, I just burned through like another 350. You would have been a lot better just finding the absolute best of the best that you really like, and then just put all that on that and then double it, and then get your 350 back, and all of a sudden you made all that profit from one safe, smart bet. And then you sort of realize, oh, I'm actually only breaking it down because that's filling my addiction where I need something every day to fill that. And that's a really bad spot to be. So I was going to get off, but as long as I get these questions come through, I might stick it out a bit longer. If you got any more thoughts, guys, or questions, like I said, I do actually enjoy having these conversations because I do get a lot of messages from that, as well as people really shifting their mindset, which I think is really what we're trying to achieve. So, like I said, for people that watch football and play football, it should not be hard to at least find like $1.80 to $2 value in every game, like finding maybe 4 disposal winners, especially now that you can go from 10 down to up to 30 disposal winners. If you want to throw a margin in there, you can even set the lines on the margin to make it a bit safer. Like I don't think there's ever been an easier time to have success on AFL football. They've made it so easy now. Like I said, providing you've got the right mindset and you're sort of going to leverage how easy they've made it. Um, um, what is the maximum amount you would ever use as one unit? Um, it's a good question. It doesn't really matter too much for me these days because my sole focus is really helping other people as a business. Like that's what I'm really trying to do. First and foremost. Um, so gone are the days of me actually, doing huge bets. As just really that was sort of my focus of just doing it professionally and just targeting big amounts of money. When you're not doing it for other people too, you're obviously betting like very sort of different and stuff as well. So yeah, now it is really like more of teaching. So say it the back end of the NFL or whatever, it was like at 250, but I'll probably pull it back right down to say like 50, like I already did for the Origin game or whatever for the AFL. Starting a new season, got new people coming in. It's just an easier, simpler way to do it for them, and it's probably closer to what most people in my group are doing or whatever. So, um, yeah, that's probably how I do it more so than worrying too much about what the actual number is. But yeah, like I said, it could vary quickly again from starting at 50 to yeah going back up to 250 or whatever. Um, but the I guess the thing is that it's that sort of people know too within our group, which I'll sort of make very clear. This is why we're sort of doing it, because then all of a sudden you just start working out, well, for each unit profit I make each week, then it's an investment. So if you're paying a small fee to join a platform, if you've only got to make 1 unit profit each week and then you're in the plus, everything after that is obviously an investment. So if we're averaging, 7 to 10 units a week, and like I said, then all of a sudden that's pretty much 7 to 10 profit, or you take 1 unit off it. So say it's $40 a week to enter. If as soon as you make that $50, if that's one of your unit size, so as soon as you tick off that 1 unit, then you're obviously in the green. You're that now it's an investment. You've covered your outlay for the week. Now everything after that is an investment, and that's just a really good way to look at it. So that's sort of really my focus now, more so than the money for me, because like I said, I've invested that into many other things. I run multiple other companies overseas and building apps and some other investments and stuff that I'm doing now too. So this is really a business for me, and really helping other people get to that level is my main focus right now. So, but yeah, I mean, simply for everyone too, you really just like work out what your budget is too, right? What you can afford to spend. I say to people, rather than looking at it as like your overall money, like what you have in the bank, should really be relevant. You should be setting aside of like, okay, this is what I pay in rent, food, car loans, fucking blah 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 blah, whatever it is. What's your number after all that, to make sure even if you were to lose every cent of your budget that week, you can brush that off and go, oh, who cares? That's my play money. That's what your budget should be. This is like your play money for a bit of fun on the weekend that you're allowed to lose. It's not going to ruin your life, because this is where most people go wrong too, right? Their like budget is like their life savings, and then they're playing with that. It's like you should be doing the math and working out, this is what I can afford to have on fun on sports, because I know I'm only ever one injury away or one big upset from losing it. So it's like you can push that aside and be like, okay, cool. Well, by the end of next week when I work, I'll make that back up, and then I'll have that extra play money to go again. You know what I mean? This is how you really should be doing it. And I can see it from a mile away when people get emotional and upset when they lose, even if it's from an injury or something that you can't help. When people still get so angry and upset by it, it's like, oh, this person is just not budgeting correctly. They're outlaying more money than they can actually afford, and this is why they're emotional. It's bleedingly obvious to me, so this is why we put such a big emphasis on people taking it seriously, working out what your number is. So whether that's, say, like $1,000 a week is what you can afford to play with, and then your unit sizes will be based on that. Um, Whether you do it 1% or however you want to do it. So, yeah, you might have $10 unit sizes if your budget's like 1,000 for that week. Do you know what I mean? And that's how you really should be working it out. Well, that's how I do it anyway. That just works well for me. So, essentially, you just want to make sure it's what you can afford to lose. Really is the key. And then you should be able to brush it off and go, well, that kind of sucks. No one saw that coming, or fuck, Spewny got injured. You can't do much about that. And then this is how you kind of go again, because what happens with most people, they don't do it that way, and then that loss puts them in trouble, and then they think, oh, I'll just win my way out of this. I'll claw it back, and all of a sudden they're in debt, and then they're borrowing money from other people, and this is obviously the bad scenarios of where it can get to, and why there's such a bad stigma, I guess, around it. It's just from people not budgeting properly and not understanding how to make money, or to manage money, I guess, more so. So, um, can you take my miso off my hands? Nah, I'm good, thanks, bro. Uh, I'm pretty good. I don't really have time for that anyway. And I actually have a pretty solid option at the moment, though I flew out to Europe with me for the summer. So I'm there winter for Christmas holidays. I've got a nice Brazilian that I am currently in touch with, so I'm good for now, bro, but I appreciate it. Thoughts on NRL try scorers markets? It would all depend, bro. Like, if you're a diehard NRL guy, I think great value if you understand it. As a prop line, it can be just very, I was going to say touch and go, pardon the pun, but yeah, very hit and miss. Probably pardon the pun again. Yeah, I think we all probably understand that, right? A lot of the time, it's probably the obvious one that's like the short price favourite, just like we saw with fucking Sam Darcy in the State of Origin. Sometimes it's the most obvious one who's in the best, maybe they've scored the most tries all season. They got a really good matchup out on the wing or something. You're like, they should dominate. He'll get heaps. And then, maybe some random front rowers or whatever score multiple tries, and old mate, who's the best try scorer in the league, just misses out. It tends to happen a lot. So it's just not something that I love. This is why I think AFL is so great. If you really break it down, you run around on an oval chasing the football, trying to get disposals to help your team win. Like, that is football in a nutshell. So if you're trying to find value in a game of football, because as we know with goal kicking, all of a sudden it's like, well, what if it gets real windy and it's a bit slippery, and then what if fucking Sam Darcy has 2 easy shots and goal and he shanks them both? You know what I mean? You can be in the good position, you can have a good matchup, you can do everything right. If they don't execute that one kick, maybe they only get 1 or 2 shots at goal. They have to execute perfectly to get that. When you're getting a disposal, they could be 20 of the most horrific kicks you've ever seen in your life. They could all be turnovers, but guess what? They still count. So for me, football is very, very easy. If their job is to run around and chase the football and amass disposals, why not just find the 4 most likely guys to hit those prop markets and do that in every single game? And it can become very, very easy. And then the only time you're really probably going to miss is if it's like they get injured or they get played out of position or they get tagged, or something sort of crazy happens, especially if you're picking prop lines that are like very safe. Like, if you think a guy's going to get probably 22 and you've got him for 17 or 18, do you know what I mean? Even on a bad game, or if he goes off for a little bit or whatever it is, has a quiet quarter, there's still a really good chance that he could probably cover that within 3 quarters because he's such a good player. So if you're always going a bit unders what they should really get as well as a safety net, like I said, football can become very, very easy, especially when they've got from 10 plus, 11 plus, 12 plus. There's never been a better time. So, but like I said, a lot of people then sort of overcomplicate it. It's like throwing in the goal kicker or margin or whatever it is. Um, how's your confidence in NRL this year? We won't be going like too hard on it. We're focusing more on well, me anyway, on the tipping comps we've got in place. All the super coach stuff as well. It's just going to make it more enjoyable. I don't really watch too much NRL because it's just on at the same time as footy. Like I said, I really don't rate it as a game, to be honest. Like, even watching the first game I watched, I was like, they really didn't even spread the ball around. It's like they throw it once, they pass it once, and then that guy gets tackled. Then they throw it once, then he gets tackled, and then they kick it, and then the other team throws it once, and then they get tackled, and it's just like up and down, just field position. So yeah, it's just not a game I really enjoy, to be honest. But we will be including it obviously in our group to attract more people from the NRL, and then they can obviously come in. If they don't really watch AFL, well, then they don't have to watch AFL. They can copy paste what I do on the AFL. They can do their own thing on the NRL, and then they can bring that experience and that knowledge, what they have, into our group. And then all of a sudden, now everyone else is learning more about NRL on the back of getting more NRL fans in our group. So, yeah, we're just more focused on the value that it brings, and I think we can do that with just, keeping a close eye on it, having some fun around tipping and super coach, and then introducing some of the games as well at the right time when we feel the need. So what was the final fantasy points? They don't do them, bro. Unless you can find them somewhere. It's not an official game. So yeah, I mean, even the commentators were pretty average. I mean, the video quality and stuff too. It's not an official game at all. It's really just a match sim. So that's why it's a bit hard to take too much from it. I mean, I watched it pretty closely and had a sort of a good feel for who was playing well and what role and stuff. But in terms of actual stats, yeah, they don't really track it. So that's what we're sort of really looking for, and that's why like some of these names are up there. Like I said, Reedy, we were just really looking to see is he the number one ruck or is he the backup? Kitty Coleman, we really were looking to see where he's actually going to play, which I don't really love the role that he's going to be playing. Annabelle, is he going to find a way into that best 22 of that team? Which I'm just not sure he can. I'm not sure there's really a role there yet, unless there's an injury. He probably is like a ready-made fit that he could come in and have some sort of impact. But, Walsh was fully fit. So these were the sort of things I was looking for, which you don't really need the stats to know. It's like, okay, Coleman's playing at full forward all of a sudden and he's coming off half forward flank. It's a completely different role to probably what we want him for. Like I said, Reedy was sort of clearly the backup. Pitnet was starting in the ruck and finishing the quarters in the ruck. So that's all you can really probably take from these sort of games. So we'll be looking to do the same again tomorrow, whether that's like we said, Sarong for Sydney, who's probably on a lot of people's benches right now. Is he actually going to be in that best 22? Is he going to score okay? How's Kerno going to go? Or like we said, Petrarca or Jamara, or what's the role they're going to play? So that's the sort of stuff we're looking for right now. And then, yeah, hopefully the official ones, they should have like the full markets open. So Dacos shafted on each. Yeah, Dacos or Bont, really. I mean, take your pick, but definitely didn't see Lockie Ash. That would have killed a lot of people too. That's when it starts getting a bit suspicious. Like, I don't know what Lockie Ash was paying, but it sounds like someone in that committee maybe had something on him. But just the stats alone, I mean, yeah, what did Nick Dacos have? 38 and a goal and like 13 score involvements. It was all sort of, well, a lot of it sort of mid to forward to centre, obviously with 13 score involvements, rather than Lockie Ash getting lots of cheap kick-ins and those sort of junk kicks in the back pocket, those easy switch kicks and stuff. I mean, he's a great player too, don't get me wrong, but yeah, I think we all probably agree that Dacos was probably the most impactful throughout, or Bontempelli. So yeah, very, very strange. Your pick for Super Bowl MVP was spot on. Yeah, bro. Not only that, like I said, I just didn't think. I thought the Seahawks were on a completely different level. Like I said, I think Drake May had sort of limped there. They limped there as a team. I didn't think there would be any match for the Seahawks. Yeah, like I said, I was big on Kenneth Walker. I said take him overs in the pass game as well. I said he'll probably be the MVP. Hollins was the one I said if you're going to take anyone from the Patriots as a receiver, I'd take him on the overs. He got that. I said stay away from Jackson Smith and Jigba. His line was set way too high, which was true. There was a bunch of people that would have lost money on that. Cooper Kupp was the one I said. I said if you're going to take a receiver, stay away from Smith and Jigba. Take Cooper Kupp on the overs. So we hit the overs. We hit about we gave away I think there was like nearly 20 on that or something, and all with over unders, the winner, the MVP, every single quarterback prop. I think we gave away like 4 quarterback props. Every one of them hit. I think we gave away about 5 receiving ones as well. Not only the receivings, but the receptions, and then some of the running backs too. Like I said, with a mixture of rushing yards, but also receiving, whether that was 1 or 2 receptions or 5 plus, or the overs with Kenneth Walker. So it was a great day for us and everyone that was on the live. That live we had there was about 8,000 people that come through that live, and like I said, we sat there for about 7 hours and literally picked the game apart, just like I said then, and literally had it on a green screen for everyone to see as well. So yeah, we'll be doing that a lot this year too with the AFL. Obviously, we don't really give away anything too much on here. We don't give away anything of what we're doing on our group, but what we can do, as I always do, I sort of have like a list of 10, a short list of 10 of ones that just sort of jump out the page at, yep, I really like all of these. And then we'll start working our way through them in our group, and well, I will anyway, and start scratching some of them off until we're left with sort of 3 or 4 that we absolutely love, that we feel like we can lock in. So we'll sort of share that early list, whether that's who we think's going to win, maybe a couple of goal kickers, and maybe work our way up from sort of maybe 10, 12, 15, 20 sort of disposals. We'll try and find maybe 1 or 2 in each bracket of those. And then we'll discuss it all here, break it all down to try and help you guys, give you sort of something to think about. And then, yeah, we obviously go and lock away a plan within our private group. In which now, as you can see here at the top, I should just move my mouse. I don't know if you guys can see that rather than me pointing now. Yeah, we've also just opened up a free group in which we just drop one play in each week, which will probably be Friday this week for the NBA. We haven't really had anything. So it was the Super Bowl last week. It'll be the NBA, and then it'll be one a week, whether that's like each Saturday on one play on the AFL or NRL. And then obviously within our paid group, we'll be doing every single game pretty much. So yeah, we've got a lot going on this year. Like I said, with all the prize money we're now doing for the tipping comps and Super Coach, we're going to be running gaming tournaments throughout the year as well. Probably after, we'll see, maybe after the NBA playoffs, because we'll probably have a bit of fun with that, which will give us something from sort of, Monday through to Thursday, where we're waiting for the AFL or NRL. We'll have a bit of the NBA and the playoffs, and then, yeah, setting up some big gaming tournaments now that I've got this officially set up too. So that's just another way for people to make some money midweek and have some fun. We'll just be giving away cash prizes for the winner of each tournament, whether that's maybe NBA 2K, unless people love another game that we can do it with, but probably 2K I think is probably a really good one that most people play. So yeah, we've got a lot coming up. So that was why I sort of wanted to get these new lives and stuff set up now the way it is. So but yeah, hopefully you cashed in on it, bro, because yeah, like I said, we couldn't have really done too much more on that Super Bowl. I mean, I left so much on the table myself because I ended up getting stuck on this live and was in such a rush. I mean, this is, like I said, I went pretty heavy in the end in that game, just on our one bet that we needed to hit, and it was always going to be a good day, which we did easy in the end. But like I said, when you're on a day where I gave away like 4 over-unders, the team to win, the MVP, every other single prop line that hit, I probably could have ended up getting a 40 or 50 to 1 in that, if I'd have mixed in my over-unders and actually taken my own advice. So there's probably people out there that hit some bigger ones that I did in terms of taking my advice. Because like I said, I sort of got stuck on here till 4 a.m. and had to sort of rush a little bit in the end. Just because we had so many issues too. There was a bunch of glitches and stuff with Discord and WAP servers, I think, because of the Super Bowl and stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, pretty good when you can sit here for 7 hours and literally dissect the game to that length. I mean, most people struggle to pick one over under in a game, let alone like 4 and then the MVP and then the winner of the game and every prop line. So yeah, like I said, we're sort of in a good position now that AFL is probably, well, is still more of a strength. As much as I love the NFL and how much we killed it this year, I mean, AFL is just that much easier, especially for everyone. We're not having to worry about the time differences. the late injury news, the games overlapping so much, all those sort of things. AFL is just still by far the best. So, yeah, leaves us in a really, really good position. Can't wait to watch footy on Friday. Yes, sir. Yeah, it should be good. Just to see some real stuff come back to, like the official practice games and stuff, with hopefully some markets opening. Will be really good. I probably will get off pretty shortly though, guys. It is midnight, which I just realised now. But like I said, it's sort of credit to you guys when we get stuck on here, because I only really answer the questions that I get. So. If there's nothing else, guys, I'll probably jump off. So quickly fire away if you got anything else. It's kind of perfect timing that we got these lives and everything set up now, ready to go, which is good, because it's just going to make it that much easier for when we do this stuff. And like I said, it just actually gives us more room so we can break down more games, or if there's like 2 games on at once on one day or whatever it is. All right, guys, if there's nothing else, appreciate you all jumping on tomorrow. Yeah, we might have a little bit of fun with some NBA tomorrow. Albeit, like we said, it's probably not a great time of the year. It's sort of very inconsistent, but at least we've got some stuff that people can actually follow along and have a play with or whatever. Like I said, there's not really. This is sort of great at the moment for Supercoach and discuss it. We're not probably getting too much information out of the match sims. We don't really have any stats to go off as well. There's actually no markets for it either, so we'll probably mix in maybe a little bit of NBA tomorrow, as we'll probably have a bit of a play ourselves on Friday, and probably drop that one play anyway, at least of that in our free group for anyone that's already in there. Or if you guys want to join, it's in the link tree in our bios. So depending on which social platform you're watching this on, we've made it really, really easy. It's in the link tree, so anyone can join at any time. And then I'm sure people are sort of jumping in now, just for the sort of timing of it. But we have started increasing that now, and we're going to start filling up our spots for our super coach leagues and stuff as well. Obviously, if you want to get in and win some money on that, you're probably going to want to get in right from the start of the season, especially the tipping comps. You know, there's probably not much point coming in after round 4 joining our tipping comps, because it's going to be pretty hard to win from 4 rounds behind. So we're sort of getting that all ready now. We're going to start filling up our tipping comps in our super coach leagues. And then we'll be locked in for the footy season. So appreciate you guys jumping on. I'll catch you all on the next one, guys. Thanks.